is 6:02. We will call the meeting to order. And everyone is present. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda for this evening?
I'd like to pull off the consent agenda under E, number 3, under personnel, volleyball, and basketball. I'd like to vote on them separately, please.
Okay.
Boys basketball.
Yep, there it is. Okay, so let's put that as, we'll put it down under 9F, and we can do them, since it's the same person, we can do them both together, volleyball and boys basketball. Are there any other changes? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to accept those changes?
I make a motion to accept the changes.
Okay, I have a motion by Deb,
Second.
second by Pat. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Motion by Dave,
I'll second.
second by Cassidy. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Public input. None this month? Okay. On to recognitions and good things happening. We'd like to congratulate our band and choir large group contest participants on April 6th. Over 50 students participated in the event. Great job. We will move on to the consent agenda. First is the approval of the March 15th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Were there any corrections or changes? No? Okay, treasurer's reports. We have April bills and March wires, March treasurer's report and bank reconciliation, budget summary, and student activity accounts. No questions? Okay. We will look to approve the fundraisers. Washington, D.C. trip would like to do a Pizza Ranch fundraiser. Date to be determined. Students will bus tables, wipe dishes, wipe down tables, bring out orders, etc. Any received donations or tips from that night, plus 8% donated by Pizza Ranch. The athletic program would like to do a fundraiser at Sweets with a date to be determined. Students will also bus tables, wipe dishes, wipe down tables, bring out orders. Receive any donations or tip that night, plus 8% determined by Sweets. The Washington, D.C. Club would like to add after-school activity fundraiser on April 25th through the end of the year. And the football program would like to do signed posters to auction off to be used for football technology. Next, we have donations. I'm going to group 4 of these together since they're from the same place. Alter Meadow Recycling has 4 donations, all for the trap team, one in the amount of $502.24, $285.25, $385.60, and $410. Those all go to the trap team. LeRoy Community Foundation also donated $3,700 to the football program to purchase a lineman chute. And Ducks Unlimited also donated $300 to the LO trap team. Any questions? Okay. On to personnel. We have the approval of the retirement of Marcia Jevney, effective at the end of the 21-22 school year. Approval of the retirement of Marcia Jevney. We're looking to approve the resignation of Jim Hubka as the middle school English language art teacher, effective at the end of the 21-22 school year. We are also looking to approve the fall 22 and 22-23 winter coaches. Football, we have head coach Trevor Carrier, assistant coach Kyle Stern, head JV assistant coach Nick Sweeney, head junior high coach Ryan Evans, and volunteer assistant Aaron Hungerholt. Volleyball, we will
We're gonna
have,
skip that one.
we can do Angie.
Oh,
We
okay.
just pulled Lindsay. We
Okay.
can do the other
All
ones
right.
together.
Okay.
Yep. For volleyball, we have head JV assistant coach Angie Olson, head junior high coach Ashley Huntley, cheerleading head coach Chris Hansen, assistant coach Barbie Tiller, boys basketball head coach Ryan Evans. We also have girls basketball head coach Kelly Masters. If nobody has any questions or comments, we will look for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Deb,
I'll second.
second by Cassidy. Any further discussion? No? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next, we move on to discussion and action items. Policy, first readings. We have first reading of 503 student attendance, 504 student dress and appearance, 510 school activities, 512 school-sponsored student publications and activities, 513 student promotion, retention, and program design, 514 bully prohibition policy, and counseling and pre-career and technical programs. As for the policy committees, for the first readings, 503 and 504 were in 514. They were changed to match the handbooks of what we have, and they also referenced to say, if you have a question, refer to the handbook, so that way there wasn't double speak. The rest had no other changes.
So I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of policies 503, 504, 510, 512, 513, 514, and the counseling and pre-career and technical program.
Okay, I have a motion by Tim,
Second.
second by Pat. Any further discussion?
You know what?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm a little bit behind here, catching up. 510. Nothing wrong with it, except for that, I wondered in the part, so we're under responsibility and we're to see athletic director. Rather than it saying that, should it be student services director? Because it's not just athletics, right? It's all school activities?
Oh, that's a good,
Say activities.
All school activities would be athletic activities.
yeah, we kind of discussed how to change it.
Like
Yeah,
drama?
That'd be, Trevor's title should probably be more athletic/activities director, activities
Okay.
director, because he would handle all the drama stuff.
So we wouldn't want to say student services? That's not what,
I wouldn't, no.
okay,
I would keep it with the athletic activities director.
okay,
And
athletic.
Maybe if you want to add slash activities.
We'll
It's the
add-
same,
I know it is, but
yeah. In there it
It's-
says, yeah.
it says athletic.
Any of those extracurricular like that would be that person in charge. So
Right.
in this case it'd be Trevor.
I
So
just didn't know if we needed to make that a little more clear.
it'd be athletic or activities. Because if we didn't have the student service center, we would still have an athletic or activities director. And
Okay.
that's who they would report to.
Okay,
okay. So
So-
go ahead.
athletic director, athletic/activities director,
Yeah.
maybe?
I would.
Yep.
Trevor, makes sense?
I mean, theoretically, most schools just say activities director, then it's athletic director. So unless we change the, you don't have to call me an athletic director, you can just say I'm an activities director, because I
Yeah,
do all the
so
drama, all that stuff.
Right,
Even the
So,
band and choir stuff, you need to go through me, so it's.
right.
I don't think we should say athletic director moving forward, I think we should change the title to activities
Activities.
director, to be honest with you. That's what you'll see at posting,
Okay.
most of the stuff posting.
Okay, so we will look at changing from athletic director then to activities director. Okay, I will make a note of that, and we will take that back to policy committee when we
Okay.
meet next month to go through it again.
that's true. It's
So we're going to
80.
take that out of the,
We can approve the rest of it as stands, because it'll
Okay.
come back to the board as a second
as
reading.
second reading anyway.
Yep.
Okay, okay.
Change your motion to exclude that one.
Thank you. I'm sorry took me a minute to get to that.
Are we still going to consider that a first reading then?
It would still be considered a first reading.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's something little, so it'll go back
Okay,
to
so just
policy
leave it now.
for their second reading, that'll come back to the board for our second reading.
I'll just leave it.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Tim, a second by Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is policy review of the second readings. 425, staff development and mentoring, 535, service animals in school, 507, corporal punishment, 508, extended school year for certain students with individual education programs, 509, enrollment of non-resident students, and 511, student fundraising. The only one we had to change was in 511, we added that it'd be recommended and approved by the school board. I mean, admin has to, Aaron and Jen sign off on them anyways, and the school board kind of gives the final approval, so that's the only changes we had in any of those.
I'll make the motion to approve the second reading of 425, 535, 507, 508, 509, and 511.
Okay, I have a motion by Pat,
I'll second.
second by Cassidy. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have approval of the 22-23 school district calendar, and this will be the final approval. Aaron, there were no changes? No. Okay. So if we're good with that, we'd look for a motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion to approve the final school district calendar.
Motion by Pat,
I'll second.
second by Cassidy. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next, we have approval of the LED project and bid. So the District Buildings and Grounds Committee.
Okay, we had, last Tuesday night, we opened the bids. If you guys recall, last month, we approved to go out to bids. We approved advertising in local papers and so forth. We approved the purchase of the word for it.
Scope of work.
The scope of work from a company called TRC. We had 4 companies respond to those advertisements. We had one company that we did not hear back from. Another said that they just got a job at another school district, so they couldn't do this summer. We had one that came in a day late, so we ended up with one bid. So, and it happens to be from the company that we've been talking with for the last year and a half or whatever, TRC. So, what they have agreed to is we purchased that scope of work from them for $5,000. They have agreed that they would reimburse us that $5,000. You guys would have got this in your packet of information, but the final bid from them is $105,450 minus the $5,000 reimbursement is $100,450, and we're looking at an estimated rebate from Freeborn Mauer of a little over $13,100. So that brings the cost to us down to roughly $87,000 at this point. And the committee voted a week ago to recommend that to the board, so. And I guess Jen could speak to the financing of it is in place as far as the LTFM and so forth.
As you guys know, we've really been tackling our long-term facility maintenance budget. You guys recall years ago it wasn't used like it should have been used here at the district. And you'll see that tonight when I present a couple of things to you. I went way back to 2016, and I'll kind of show you us building up that fund. Now, I did have a question, though, about LTFM and a project of this magnitude, meaning up to $100,000 is what I was thinking. So I reached out to our auditors, I reached out to my guiding institution, MASA, and of course MDE, and talked with them at length. And sure enough, at the end of the day, we can split up the cost of this project into 2 LTFM years. So that was really nice to see. So then we can still do some little projects here and there that we need to do throughout the building, or if things come up, it's nice to still have some money in our pocket just in case. So that was probably my biggest concern of the whole project was how are we going to fund this in 1 year? I wasn't comfortable, frankly, moving forward with it if I had to do it all in one for you guys. But it's nice to know we can do it in 2. The biggest thing is going to be a lot of documentation with it, which, as you can see, I have. Plenty of documentation if the auditors or MDE come down. We have plenty of documentation for them, and I'll continue to update the board as we go. In your notes is kind of what we decided as a committee, what our calendar of events kind of looks like. We're hoping that after tonight, we're going to have July 1st is when I can start working on the 2-year budget for this and play around with that and connect with MDE on what kind of documentations they need from me. And what they need from you in terms of approval with our budget. So that'll be coming, so kind of expect those things to happen. And then, of course, they'll have all of summer to work on the project, and August 15th is our deadline for project completion. And that is in the bid. It has to be completed by then.
What happens if they don't?
I don't think we have to pay, because then they violated the bid.
Oh,
So,
all right.
yeah, so I'll work on that too. But anyway, yeah, so it's a pretty tight timeline. But, you know, we have staff and kids in the building. We want it done. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting
They've
stuff. And I
also-
know you guys have worked hard on this for, well, long before I came. You guys have worked hard on this with your planning committee years ago, 5 years ago. This was one of the priorities, and you guys are hitting it hard now, and a lot of time and energy has gone into this, and I know that our staff, this was one of their priorities, and so we're all kind of coming together on the same ideas right now of what we need to do.
They've also said that they would be willing to talk with local electricians to do some of the work here, if those local electricians are available to do that work, so, which is kind of cool.
On the page, Dave, I don't know if you got yours in front of you, on the page where it shows the numbers, when you go down their little fine print, under the labor, delivery, shipping, and installation equipment is not included. Is that just warranty stuff, I'm assuming? The 2 little black dots on the bottom. It says project completion date, offer start date for tracking warranty period, labor, delivery, shipping, and installation equipment is not included. Is that just
Warranty,
I don't-
yes.
Just for the warranty
There's a
stuff?
sentence above that.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, the bid was 100,450 after their 5,000, so if we get any other bills for that, we don't,
Okay.
I mean, that's what
It's
we're.
all inclusive.
Yeah.
Okay.
They take care
There's
of
no more. Yeah.
they take care of the little things like the rebate
Yep.
paperwork and all that stuff.
Good.
Getting rid of the junk, recycling, all that stuff.
Okay.
It's complete.
It says the warranty terms. I'm assuming those are the ones that are, they kind of listed in this?
Yes,
Okay.
you're right.
Do we have any more discussion or questions? Not, we would entertain a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the LED project bid from TRC.
Okay, motion by Pat,
Second?
second by Dave. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have discussion and possible action for the strategic plan. As you guys know, Gary Lee recommended doing, we need to do a strategic plan. With summer coming up, everyone's going to be busier. We need to kind of get something set in stone and get something rolling. Jen forwarded us all the information from Gary that explained, kind of what would be happening, how the process works, what needs to be done, and the cost will be no more than $7,300 for the district. And that includes what he called was 5 touches with the district, listening sessions, and the rest would be meetings and the final product come out.
So do we even need him to help us with that for $7,300? I mean, I'm just looking at an example of our building and grounds committee. One committee, we've got a spreadsheet which basically is a strategic plan of what we're looking at doing going forward. We didn't have any help with that. So I'm just wondering if we even, I mean, that's all this is talking about, you know, what are we going to, what are our plans going forward in the next year, 5 years, 10 years?
Looking at the services based on it, there's actually more to it than just that. It's, you know, they actually survey, you know, the stakeholders, so they'd send a survey to, you know, everyone. They receive information from the superintendent, summary from the stakeholders. They will help us develop, revise, rework the school's district mission statement, visions, values, you know, values and beliefs. They help us, you know, the school district's overall goals and objectives. And then, yeah, basically they kind of give us the template for moving forward, and then they offer final review and follow-up. So I know at SMEC, we're going through this at SMEC too. They meet with, you know, some of the staff, and they talk to the parents, and they kind of get an overall scope of things.
And SMEC has 7 different school districts to try to blend together too, and we just a small district, so.
We haven't had a plan in years.
I mean, I don't really know without some guidance. You know, how are we going to know how to move forward? I feel like it's different on a physical thing like buildings. You know, there's a physical aspect to it, and you can say, okay, we need to do this, we need to do that. This is a little more, I don't want to say the word conceptual, but like, I kind of feel like we need some guidance because we can just come together, but how will we move forward? I don't know. If you...
I agree, Deb, for you guys that are, you know, new.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think it'd be good for Gary to come and talk with everybody and do this.
The last time I saw anything about, like, a mission statement or anything was when it was painted on the wall in the boardroom. And so, you know, I don't know. I'm just saying that I don't know where the guidance will come from on something that's so conceptual, and like, how are we going to know that we're getting the full scope of what our community wants moving forward? I don't know.
We've had other workshops with Gary in the past, and they were good. It's good.
It isn't like we have to do it every year.
No,
No, that's exactly right.
No.
no.
And once we get something that's a little more established, hopefully it's something we can continue to build on. You know, but I don't even know where we have something prior, where that even is, you know, the old mission statement or I dug around and thought I had it. I was really proud of myself, and then that was the workforce thing, so. So, you know, unless somebody else has some guidance for us, I kind of think we need some.
Yeah, I don't remember when we developed that mission statement. We didn't have anybody from MSBA helping us with that, I know, but I think it was mostly, the discussion was probably mostly led by the superintendent at that time,
Okay.
I suppose. And I don't even remember when it was done.
Okay.
If it was Arnold Prince, maybe?
See, I just don't know.
It's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if this is something we want to look forward, you know, get going and get moving, I would entertain a motion to get this started, so that way we can get something going with Gary, especially with how busy summer gets.
What is he looking for, like with meetings, and is he gonna come down, or is he gonna do virtual? Do we have to do workshops kind of as a board?
Based
So
on,
in September, when he was online, we were talking about having a workshop sometime in July with no date set.
Yeah.
correct. According to this, meeting number 1 is in district, meeting number 2 is in district, meeting number 3 is in district. The fourth one, it said will meet, virtual. But I mean, maybe that could change if we ask them to come back down. So there's at least 3 times, and then they provide, the follow-up, and they follow up again a year later to see how it's going.
I obviously do not want to throw money away, but I also want to make sure that we're moving forward in a really good path. So I guess I would like to make a motion that we do have MSBA help us get a strategic plan.
Okay. I have a motion by Deb,
Second.
second by Tim. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the hiring of Lindsay Milk for head varsity volleyball and assistant JV for boys basketball.
Make a motion?
Okay, motion by Deb,
Second?
second by Dave. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I abstain.
Okay, no chaos. Next, we have reports. Student representative on the school board.
All right. So, girls and boys basketball seasons ended with banquets and awards. Spring sports started between track, baseball, and softball and golf. There's been a lot of weather-related rescheduling of events, and many kids are out for these activities. MCA testing next week starts for high school. Last week was elementary reading. This week is elementary math and 6th grade reading. Earth Day plans, activities are on the works. Leadership team, the Cardinal Chronicles are out regularly. Student council, food drive for Magnus Rudolph called Money for Magnus.
Thank you, Dane. Next, we have staff reports from the student services team.
I guess that's me.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something a little bit different today. When it gets up. No, I'm here, boss. Typically, I'll send some stuff information for the month. I'll send our attendance file, what we have for attendance. One thing we focus on is that whole word bullying. Are we getting bullied, or is it pure conflict? I always give you a number of actual cases we have. I give you the RCD reports on how we're doing RCD-wise, whether we're going up, going down, etc. I give you athletic stuff. Obviously, as Dane said, being an activities director right now is awesome. My morning is full of cancellations and rescheduling and working with 4 other ADs, which is difficult. So much easier with LeRoy-Ostrander. So I talked to Jen. I wanted to switch it up today. I wanted to present some information. This presentation is all about culture. We had the great honor of my football staff going to a 3-day coaches clinic in the cities. Now, again, my coaching staff gives up everything. All the time. And we praise the Wyatts for allowing us to do what we do. But in the middle of spring, I took my coaching staff away from their kids and families for 3 days and 3 nights. We went up there, we learned stuff. A lot of it is culture. We can sit here and talk X's and O's if you want, and I can talk to you about our trap policy and how we're pulling, but probably aside the point in the school board meeting. Culture's big. Relationships are big. And it's something that we need to improve on all the time in Leroy. Whether we're talking about board, we're talking about school, we're talking about teachers, we're talking about students. This is everything. And I believe we have a good culture here, especially in a football program, what we talk about. We had a lot of people talk, my coaching staff, my head assistants here is Kyle, a lot of people came to us. It's cool seeing other schools come to us. How many times have we been 2-7, 2-8, nobody even knows we're in the room. We had all these coaches coming to us, especially 9-man coaches, but not just the 9-man only, all coaches coming to us. How do we do it? What is there things we do? I got to present for an hour on what we do in Leroy. That doesn't happen, and it hasn't happened since I've been here. Our program has taken in bounds and leaps because if it just happens every day, then we should have 17,000 state championships. And it goes a hell of a lot more than just Chase Johnson. It's every kid in our program. 17 kids. Our number right now is 31. So we talked about culture. And the thing, I have a definition of culture. We also got to listen to PJ Fleck. You know who PJ Fleck is? PJ Fleck is the Minnesota Gopher football coach. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. He'll make you want to play football, whether you like it or not. He'll make you want to just jump on board. The way he speaks and can connect with people. But we can talk about this big definition of culture, but at the end of the day, it's connecting people. How do you connect people in your culture? From top down. From school board to superintendent to principal to whatever the heck my title is, the teachers to the staff to parents and to the kids. Because once the kids see any cracks, they bite into it. And every kid will follow through. So if you think there's not a crack, there's a crack and they will see that. I have a 4th grade son. If my wife and I are on the same page, he will find the crack and he will use it. And next thing you know, he's got a $20 gift card at Nintendo because one of us were wrong. Probably me. So culture. A lot of people don't have it, don't know how to define it, they don't know how to make it, they don't know how to give it to other people, most important breed into a program or school, and if we don't have a healthy culture, we are behind. And I can promise you, we are not there yet. If you think you are, we're lying to each other. All about honesty. We had a lot of problems in the past, from school board to superintendent, and I was part of it, 100% part of it. Not in great ways either. Culture hurts. When you come to school, worrying about things, checking over your shoulder, it's problematic. If we don't follow chain of command, that's not culture. If it's a sports-related issue, it should be to me. Nobody else needs to be involved. You bring it right to my attention. If it's a school-related issue, goes right to Aaron. Not to anybody else. That's culture. And if the kids see that, all the way through. Parents see that. Staff sees that. Culture. Again, I stole this stuff from my presentation as well as PJ's as well. Culture indicators, toxic and positive. Toxic cultures have the following aspects: lack of purpose, norms that reinforce negativity, the adult blame game, zero collaboration, hostility among staff, gossip, substituting personal opinion for fact, and people aren't willing to learn. That's negative culture. If you don't think it's negative culture, then that's toxic. Look in the mirror. I believe some of that stuff, and 3 years ago when I had my issues, I believed in some of these things as well. I'll raise my hand right now and say, you know what? I was wrong in some of these things. Some of the things that I was wrong in, 100%, I'll sit here and tell you my things. Gossip. I don't like to gossip, but you hear stories all across the street. We're in Leroy. I can't go to the store without them knowing I went and got underwear on Saturday at Kohl's. Oops, I could go back. Substituting personal opinion for fact. I'm guilty of that. You're damn right I'm guilty of that. Because we go tell everybody in the community, and this is how things happen, and this is how negativity comes down. And then all of a sudden our kids get involved. And then our programs suffer. And then they gossip at school. Instead of learning math, they're talking about something else. If I have problems with anybody, the kids know. If I have problems with my coaching staff, my kids know. Positive cultures exhibit the following aspects. Celebration of success. We still have issues with that. I can promise you right now. We celebrate some people's success, not everyone's. Some things that have never been done go upon deaf ears. I'm not going to say anything about myself individually, but awards have been given for the state of Minnesota, not conference. Genuine was the big word, adult trust. We can talk about it all the time. We talk about football all the time. Kyle can attest. Trust. Can you trust the players? Will they trust in you? It's got to be genuine. It's got to be earned. Regular, frequent communication. Collaboration is the norm. Fairness in all interactions, policies, rules. Adults learn so that they can model for others. character, moral development are priorities. These are all things that we try to establish. I completely agree with you. Everybody in this room does that. And I can promise you right now, as the activities director, not athletic director, got you, Deb, my staff will follow the suit of that. All coaching staff will be following my lead. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. This is what you hired me to do. And I trust every single one of them. My football staff will take a bullet for me, and I mean that. Besides our spouses, we jump in front of a bullet for anybody else? I had an option. I was approached by another school district. Damn right. I talked to Nick and Kyle. And Kyle sitting back there telling you, he said, absolutely not. You're not going anywhere. Period. I'll get emotional because that's the kind of guy he is. That's character. That's trust. Loyalty. It's everything we're talking about here. Build the nest. Something we're going to talk about in athletics from here on out. It's my programs now. This is what you paid me to do. This is what we're going to do. I'm a massive believer in the Minnesota Gophers. I row the boat. Big time row the boat. Huge row the boat. If you know what it means, you can't, I don't know anything about canoeing. I can barely swim. But if we all row in the same direction, you get somewhere. But anyone who's been out canoeing, if one person isn't canoeing correctly, the boat goes circles, doesn't it? Or it goes all over the place. I'm not very good at that. What we talked about here, Kyle came up with it, is build the nest. Right here we have platform, cup, and line. These are from the Northern Cardinal. I had to actually do work. I did not talk to Tiffany Tim, but I should have because it would probably been easier than actually me Googling it and finding information. There are three things when they build a nest. They have a platform. This is the foundation, the stiff plants, the stems, the twigs. This is our LEAD program, L-E-A-D. This is when we're talking about. The cup is the fill-in of the nest. That's the dead leaves, the smooth material. Lindsay, you can attest to this. What do we talk about with the concepts on this one? We're talking about your grades. We're talking about honesty and trust with the kids. And then the linings, that stuff to make it comfortable, the fur. Well, what are some things in an athletic program we can make comfortable? Well, volunteering our time. Our kids will volunteer their time. They go to do stuff. Also, community service. What can we do for the community? I know Kyle had a plan, although got sidetracked with COVID. Kyle had a plan of, football team on Saturday mornings going to rake leaves for maybe some of the older people in town. Not charging them, just helping out. Something we can give back as a program. These are things our athletic program needs to start moving. I'm not Reed. You're damn right I'm not Reed. I'm not Sean, not Joe Kuchenmeister. Now we're going to do it this way. LEAD is the program that we have established here that we are going to start to follow. An athletic program for sure, but I think we can follow it in all aspects of it. If you think it's dumb, just tell me it's dumb, not a big deal. The L in LEAD stands for loyalty. Are you willing to be loyal to your teammates, coaches, coworkers in school? This is one of the hardest things to do, is to be loyal to anybody. I've been burned more than we want to share, but I've always been helpful and tried to move forward. Because it's best for our kids as a group. We don't have to agree on everything. Sure as hell, Aaron and I have never agreed on everything. We've had it out on the sideline and in his office. But there's respect there. I think Tim would even tell you, Tim and I have had it out. Things happen in life, but can we move forward? Where's the loyalty stand? Is it individual based? Is it my kid only, or is it all kids? Because now everyone's got kids involved. I have a kid coming up, so my kid automatically should play quarterback and play every single minute because I'm the coach. My kid has to earn his spot more than everybody else does. Is that fair? Oh, it's life. Loyalty. I have the best coaching staff in Minnesota. I'll take it to my grave. And I'm honored to have every one of them. We're trying to get there with girls basketball with the right hire. We're trying to get there with boys basketball. We're close. We're damn close. And volleyball, getting there. Mind you, when I took this job over in July, we had no girls basketball coaches or volleyball coaches besides Ashley Huntley. Everyone remember that? We got who we need now. The E in LEAD stands for effort. Will you give max effort in the classrooms, on the field, it's your job. I don't know the job. We all know right now how much I push academics. If you have your grades done, then you can sit practice tonight. You can sit and watch. You can do your homework. I send grade sheets out weekly, if not bi-weekly, to these kids. I hand them out individually. They have to have them signed and brought back to me. One day, a couple weeks ago, I did it for the whole dang school, 6th grade through 12th. Individually handed to them. But if they respect you, they get the job done, they bring it back to you. Attitude. Can you provide a positive attitude even when the chips are down or don't go your way? Can you disagree with compassion and understanding? What happens when you don't get your way? We talk about this all the time in football. all the time. And I hate bringing up football, but it's easy to talk to. We got beat by Grand Meadow and Lanesboro, if you don't remember that. We pout and cry and throw away the season, or to rebuild to keep going. We avenged both losses on our first ever state championship, ever. As much as how good we were, it's the first time we've done it. Our attitude changed. These, my favorite one is dedication. This is the absolute favorite one of all of lead of this program we're going to do. I'm trying to find banners, but they cost $200 a piece to buy and make. I want to post the stuff on the school. They should see what we want to speak, not just say it. What are you willing to give up something you've never had? It's the best one of all lead. Our kids right now, if you don't know right now, we have 31 kids in that weight room, probably 30 in about 20 minutes working their butts off. It is April. And before that, they were probably outside having captain's practice. It is April. That's a program. You know how many times we've had programs where we couldn't even get kids here on time for a normal practice? What are you willing to give up? That's what PJ keeps talking about, and everything he speaks about. Coach Saban from Alabama spoke too. All culture and responsibility and relationships. What are you willing to give up something you've never had? Well, we found that out. What about grades? The same thing with grades. What are you willing to give up? More time here? Lead off. Here's an easy thing. I use the word and a couple different things here. PJ talks about culture, and this is one of the things he talks about. And it's easy to remember because I'm not great with this stuff, but he says if the fish in the aquarium are getting sick, go to Walmart, you buy a cool vase, you sprinkle in the cool rocks, and you have a cool little plant there. I had it because we went through a bunch of little fish. Right? Same name, same fish. They're different fish. So little Teddy over here, he got flushed down the toilet 17 times, probably. But, whatever. Do we blame the fish? It's not the fish's fault that the environment around them is terrible. Fish need a healthy environment to thrive and grow. Fish school together and support and protection. Not all fish have the same needs. The water must be clean, free of toxic substances. Fish in the aquarium are helpless in efforts to improve their environment, and fish will prosper when the temperature of the water is ideal. This is the exact same thing we talk about in football. Our football program. If my football program is struggling because we have kids that are not coming to school, we have kids that are fighting in school, we have kids that are fighting with each other, we have kids that are horse playing nonstop, not paying attention, that is not anybody else's fault, that's my fault. I look at myself in the mirror. Fish in the aquarium. Some other words with lead in it. Mislead. Webster's dictionary says to lead in a wrong direction or into a mistaken action or behalf, often by deliberate deceit. To lead astray, given a wrong impression. This stuff happens all the time. Little words get talking to big gossip around here, and then they turn into factual statements. And then you go uptown, you can't go uptown because you hear all the drama. And drama is the word I'm going to use because it's drama. The truth doesn't want to come out because we don't want to face the truth. Or, God forbid, we actually go to the person that needs to know the truth. I have the truth. Let's not ask him. Let's ask 6 other people. Because they know the truth. They weren't there, but they know the truth. Why don't you ask the person that's there? How about the person that said it? We don't want to ask them because they might get too abrasive like me and they don't get scared to talk to me, but whatever. Mislead. So we use that same information, and by the time you hear it, it's the worst game of telephone you ever heard in your life. We could play telephone in here with kids and we'll lose that message quickly. We'll find out. I did it in 5th grade. Oops. We won a state championship. We walked in. The crowd was massive in the gym. And the one thing I said, and Axel, I don't think Axel's here. If he's not, he's right there. The one thing I said, he actually sent me a message, is, I am begging us to use the momentum of the state championship to come together. You're sitting next to somebody you might not like. I get it. I'm begging us to do that. Yay, hip-hop, hooray! A month later, we got problems, we got comments, we got fighting, we got nobody trusting this person, we're going to this meeting here, we have issues here. It gets all... That was exactly what I didn't want to happen. Well, Leroy, what more do we need in life? There's a 5th grade student who's got a lot more problems than we have right now. But we don't want to trust this coach because they did something to me 17 years ago. Okay, cool. I'm begging us all to work together. That's staff. That's everybody else. You don't have to use my message. It's fine. I'm not perfect. I told you my sins. I'll keep telling you them all if you want to. I'm begging everyone to be on the same page. Whether you like them or not, the grass isn't greener. Just the last week, there was 400 jobs in Ed Post alone. 400. Superintendents can't be found. Principals can't be found. Instead of having principals, now they're making dean of students at every school. It's kind of a cop-out because they're not going to pay admin salary, right? We have a lot of good things in Leroy. Starting from the top down. Football culture, connecting people, we talked about it. We hire good people. I hired good people. When things happened here, I wasn't in charge. The superintendent was in charge and the AD was in charge. They hired people. That's not good for a culture or my program. That means we don't get along. Building relationships. Player coach, coach admin, coach parent, player teacher. This is ours in Leroy for football. Allow the people I hired to do the job. This is the most important. Kyle Stern is my defensive coordinator. He's right back there. If you don't know who Kyle is, there's Kyle right there. He coaches defense. If I stand over the top of Kyle all day long, he will never learn to make a mistake. He won't want to coach with me because I'm standing over the top of him all day long. Why do I know everything about it? Because I'm the head coach. I let Kyle fail. Even when he thinks something different, he might get yelled at once or twice. It happens. I hired him to do the job. I hired Nick Sweeney to coach my special teams. I hired Aaron to, hired as he volunteered, to be in the booth. He does those jobs. I can't do them all. I don't change my own oil. I'm not that much of a man. I take it uptown. Bowerbilt does it for me. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. I'm not going to pretend I know how to change my oil. I hire them. They can fix it. Allow people to be themselves. Anyone see my kids I have Hayden, Sass. I have all these great kids. A little nutty. A little nutty. You let them to be themselves. To an extent. You get the have to match the want to. We talked about this many times. I have to go help mow some lady's lawn. No, I want to. I have to send flowers to my teammates' aunt who passed away. No, I want to. The biggest thing for me is their voice becomes your voice. This is the biggest thing for me. Gavin Sweeney is one of the best captains I've ever had. Now, besides the technical fouls, Gavin, probably the technical fouls too, let's just call a spade a spade. The things I say, Gavin says. The things I say, Chase says. Whole coach, I'm thinking this. Okay, that's now you're getting their voice. I've had to learn in 6 months, fast, in a job that was difficult. I think that Jen's voice, I can start helping with that because her voice is now becoming my voice as well. I'm learning to be a better leader. Because I sure as hell don't know everything. And I have no predecessors to go come talk to. I challenge my team to be uncomfortable every day. Every day we talk about uncomfortable. Everything's easy. Everything right now is easy. My son can tell you right now as well. Hey, let's get short goals and small goals. We can all get to there. We all can have this awesome party with balloons. Our goal is to win 2 games this year. That's not uncomfortable. Our goal is to win state again. We have 2-minute drills. Now we have 1-minute drills. We do these drills that may actually tackle somebody. Create the results so intensely that the work is irrelevant. We're doing that right now. We talk about it in football. We talk about it right now. This is what football is doing right now. We don't care about whining in the weight room because the only gear that these kids want to do is get back to the bank. That's it. Just like the same thing with education. We want to become a how program. Stop asking questions of where, what. We said how. How can I get better? How can I get to where I want to be? How can this drill go better? How can I do the how instead of any other thing with where, what? How needs to be the word or isn't. How can we get better as a school district? Not point fingers at Jimmy Joe and Susie Q because no, it's not their fault. It's how can we become better? How can our athletics be a program that we want to have? When we play Spring Grove, you think, hey, you're going to get beat, no matter who you play. We play Leroy, people circle us off the bat. We're automatic wins. How can our scores get better? Not pointing finger because Aaron can't do his job as a principal. How can we get better? And invest in you. Invest in the kid. Do you know what the kids do? Do you know every staff here? Do you know what Alicia's favorite color is? Do you know what she does on Wednesday nights for supper? I do. Invest in these kids. Do you know what they want to do when they grow up? Invest in your teachers as board members. Do you know these things? That's our culture. The last slide I have is an easy one. We talk about it. We talk about football too. Life is not tried, it's merely survived if you're standing outside of the fire. It's by Garth Brooks. I brought Kyle in today because Kyle said this to our team with a lot of emotion, and I hope he doesn't go where he went there too. Kyle, I want to elaborate quickly for our school board what this means and what you talked to our boys about. I put him on the spot.
It's all right there in the quote. If you're if you're not willing to do the work, you can't expect for that outcome, that goal at the top to be easy. And that's about it. If you're not willing to get burned every once in a while, then you might be doing it wrong.
Kyle had a lot more to that speech. He was crying when he was talking to the boys, because Kyle was bringing up some other things. But again, a little bit different. This we talked about culture, all these things at the conference. Coach Saban gets makes a lot more than we do here combined from Alabama. He didn't talk X's and O's and Jimmy's and Joe's. He talks about culture and relationships, and that's it. PJ talked for an hour and a half. Not one time did I hear about a slant option route with an RPO. All I heard was culture and relationships. We don't have to get along all the time. It's okay. We shouldn't. We should differ in opinions. And that's fine. Any questions? Thanks. Thanks, Jim.
Jeff Trevor. Good job.
Next, we have principals report and comments.
All right.
Have that.
Nope. I just don't want to put you guys through two of those. No. Thank me later. Some updates. I'll get a couple things here. You might have noticed the RCD banner up by the front office. We are now officially the first school district in the state of Minnesota to be model school. So that's something we need to be proud of and put out there. As we've already seen one school on our consortium going to turn that direction. And a nearby school is coming for a visit here shortly. So schools in the area are looking at the same model. Axel's been doing a great job of being our PR guy, setting us up with interview dates and radio station dates and all that stuff. So a lot of PR for LeRoy-Ostrander School in a positive manner. Even the day when Larry Thompson was here, we had a gentleman from the Minnesota Principals Association come down, spend half a day in our building wanting to know what everybody else in Minnesota can do to be like LeRoy-Ostrander. So something pretty cool to be proud about. So just kind of keep you updated on that and anything else that goes forward with the RCD stuff. And with the RCD, like I said, it's a responsibly centered discipline, and it really is a lot bigger than just that. You've heard Trevor talk tonight about relationships, culture. Everything that we're doing right now is around RCD. And you might see the posters that are up. Trevor is implementing the lead in the athletic programs, but it kind of goes along with our pride. You might see the posters up, like back there. They're in all the classrooms. Everything we do now is based on that. I hear you guys talking about strategic planning and stuff. I think we got a good base already set for the direction we want to go with these things. Pride is perseverance, responsibility, respect, integrity, discipline, and empathy. But all those things tie into relationships. Lead ties into relationships. And like Trevor said, when I went up to the coaching clinic, I didn't really pay attention to one thing about X's and O's. I listened to PJ Fleck talk, Nick Saban talk. Everything, why they are successful, is relationships and culture. I didn't hear anything else. So it felt pretty good because all the things we're doing, to me, were just validated by Nick Saban and PJ Fleck, who make a lot more money than I do. Very successful coaches, but they don't treat it as it's not just about football in their mind, it's about life and the way they run their programs. And I think that's the way we run our schools. So that's what RCD is bigger than that. Pride is bigger than that. The lead stuff is bigger than that. But it all ties in nicely with the direction we want to go. Bottom line, relationships. If you have a good relationship, everything else in my mind can be accomplished. So just kind of my plug for that. Kind of moving on. Any questions about RCD or any of that kind of stuff? So, okay. Registration master schedule. We are working on that. We got all the registrations in. We're meeting tomorrow as a middle school, high school staff to just finalize some numbers and classes. Then we'll put the schedule together, and then we will get the registrations out to the kids here in the next 2 weeks, I hope. We have 2 openings, middle school English and high school English. So those are our only openings at this time. MCA testing is going on right now through May 6th. You may see on our Facebook and webpage monthly, we have the cardinal time for the elementary. Once again, we are celebrating students and the teachers write up. If you haven't seen it, the teachers write up 2 or 3 kids a month. Something great about the kid. It's always kindness and helpful and working hard. So we're already starting that in the elementary. Then middle school, high school, we jump into Cardinal Pride, which is quarterly, and that's allowed on the grades and the attendance and any other special award that the teachers give, which are kind of cool for them to come up with their own awards on that. So once again, building a relationship, talking about kindness, talking about culture, things like that, all the way down the elementary. Some other things that we have, we have completed a 10-year curriculum cycle. I know Jen has that part of her review process. We do have a staff evaluation cycle and implemented a new evaluation process this year. We have testing data for 14 years. Every year we do a K-3 literacy plan, which talks about what our goal is to have all kindergarten, 3rd graders reading at grade level before they leave the classroom and get up to 4th grade. We have the SITE team, that's our decision-making team. If we're going to do strategic planning, I think it would make sense, just my opinion only, so you don't have to listen to me at all. I think they'd be a good team to have part of our strategic planning, as they are our school decision-making team. And kind of our motto that we have is right on our website. We talk about, which we don't refer to a lot, but educational excellence for life. I think that's one thing we came up with of what we're doing here at LeRoy-Ostrander. So just a lot of things in a nutshell, just so you guys are aware. I don't talk about a lot of these things. We just do them because that's my job. So we have a lot of these plans in place. So when we get into strategic planning, we have a lot of these plans already put together. We have the data already in front of us. It's just a matter of what the plan you want to look like and anything going along those lines. So just wanted to throw that stuff out there. I got one more thing, but any questions on any of that stuff? All right, so please take one of these. So here is an idea that we have been talking about here at school. Actually, take those. So as we were talking about moving the CNA room and moving that stuff down to the male building down here, did some brainstorming. It started out with me and Trevor, which is sometimes dangerous just when we start thinking. And we talked to some other people and got some ideas of what could we do thinking about our building. So you just got to kind of hear me out and see big picture on this before you. It's kind of a really, really big picture, and the timeline is sooner the better. But how this ends up could be a lot of different ways. But what we want to do is once we move all the beds out of the CNA room, we're going to clean. We're not having art next year. Well, we are, but we're putting it into STEAM, which will be part of the next job, and they'll have the art room plus another classroom upstairs, which I'll talk about what we did for that later. What we want to do is we want to move the weight room down to the CNA room. Now, it is not a weight room, okay, so bear with me here. What we're going to do, one of these days I'll get you guys a visual so you can kind of see it. This is all pretty preliminary. We have to clean it out first. We got to get the beds out of there, so this is a little bit of a process. But if you line up the big equipment, if you know what we have, you line them up on the sides. And down the middle of the CNA room right now, and there in the shop, or not the shop, but the woods area over here, we'd get carpet 12 foot by 55 foot, go right down the middle. What that does is allows, if you're talking just athletics right now, you can do agilities, you can do different speed testing, you do all these different things that we didn't have space for inside to do before. We try to do it in gym, you do it outside, you do it on the stage, you do all these different places. We'd have it all right down there. Also, if you have that big open areas, and some of you might not know, but the teachers, especially science and math, a lot of times they do a lot of testing. They need the space for distance, for time, for things. It would be open during the day where teachers could go down and utilize that space to whatever they needed to in STEM, math, science, anything of that. So that is available to the teachers during the day. Also, the art room now becomes a STEAM overflow or the STEAM elementary room, because the elementary kids are still going to get the STEAM, but it might not just be art. There might be technology, there might be engineering. So depending on how we divvy that up, the elementary kids would have that room down there where Nick would be working out of if you wanted to. What that does also is what we'd want to do with the weight room is we'd want to gut that out, make that into a health classroom. Right now our PE teacher has never had their own classroom. We are always sharing, we're always trying to find space. That opens up to a classroom. That would be the health classroom, and also would open up in the evenings where all the coaches would have access. It'd be kind of like a film room. Right now, a lot of our coaches they don't teach in the building, they don't have a place to go. We're begging teachers to go in their room or going in these different places. So now we have a new space, health classroom during the day. In the evenings, all the coaches could utilize it as film room or whatever, however they want to use that. Stage, the stage is just a stage. Right now it's a storage closet, in my opinion. Nina was excited about that. I know if we continue with our one-act play, now they have stuff up there. It's just a stage. And if you haven't seen the curtain, it's ripped. It's been ripped. It's terrible right now. We have to replace it anyways because fire. So we get a new curtain. It's just a stage. To me, that would be longevity of that area up there. Also in that area, Trevor has been busy with a couple high school kids cleaning up those two top areas that were just junk. And we're reorganizing that right now where there's prom stuff, drama stuff, and Cardinal Kids and ECFE stuff. So it's organized now up there. We have a whole other side that's available for more storage because it's all got cleaned out. As we kind of move around, like I said, this is just a lot of stuff thrown at you guys. This is big picture. Like I said, I don't have a time frame for this. Also, you have the girls' locker room. If you've ever been in the girls' locker room, there's hardly any space in there. What we'd like to do, since the PE teacher, regardless boy or girl, will have their own health room, we want to knock out the walls where that office is and take out one set of lockers. Now you open up the girls' locker room. It's more compatible to what the boys have. There's just not any space in there right now. We want to update the girls' locker room as well as we're doing this. Some other things. Like I said, once you have that CNA room, it's a big open space. It opens up for, I had a conversation with Brad about could we write grants for a rock wall, because those walls are pretty tall in there. Get a rock wall in there. Could we make the upper level, there's a mezzanine up there, could we get cardio equipment, make a cardio area, which then would lead into could you have staff hours, student hours, all these different things. Fitness and aerobic classes, community ed, speed and agility programs, all these different things. That it's just not a weight room. I call it performance center. I don't know what to call it, but I didn't want it to be a weight room because it's not just going to be a weight room. I was trying to see of all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade, who can utilize it from community ed, athletics, teachers, all those things, utilize their building to best ability. So we get a new classroom in the health room. We have the big open space down there. Open up the girls' locker room. The fax room now becomes a fax room still. We take Nick out of there. I'll tell you where he's going in a second. And that fax room then can be checked out. Teachers do check it out. We have food science. They do a lot of cooking and social studies, different things. Fax room now becomes utilized by all teachers. So what I'm doing with all the teachers, we are departmentalizing. A top floor is going to be social studies on one end, English on so 2 English teachers, 2 social studies teachers on the top floor plus the fax room. So English social studies upstairs. Middle floor is going to be 2 science classes, 2 math classes, so that's kind of our STEM area. We're moving Nick down to Jim Hubka's room. It's a bigger room, allows for to keep more stuff in there for STEM. So you got Brad and Nick, Carrie and Kathy in one area. You got Shannon and Emily up there for social studies, and then our 2 new English teachers up there. So all the departments will be next to each other. So we're organizing the building as we're going with all of this as well. So, I know it's a lot, and I kind of jumped all over, but in big grand scheme, I'm looking at how to utilize their building, not waste any space, and provide as much opportunity as I can for kids. And if that means using that space for maybe it's a multi-purpose space. I don't know what you want to call it. Somebody can come who's more creative than me can name it. But that opens up all our buildings in our room, and we still have space, and we're providing more opportunities. So, big thing here is probably say, this is going to cost an arm and a leg, right? Well, right now I don't have a price on it because right now our hope is we can do a lot of the moving of stuff. We're not purchasing new weight room equipment. We're not purchasing, right now the only thing I could come up with would be fixing floors after if we demolish 2 walls in the girls' locker room and take out lockers, probably something to do with flooring. Weight room, there needs to be some flooring probably put out there, and then if we make the weight room into a health classroom, probably some flooring. So just thinking small with pricing, whatever flooring would be for some of these rooms, but we're not looking to buy equipment. We're not looking to buy big purchases. But that's kind of the big picture of what we are looking at in our building. Where's Trevor go? Trevor, did I miss anything? Any questions for me on that? I know it's just a lot, but trying to utilize our building for more opportunities for.
Jim does have a quote from Tim Y. He was going to resurface the locker rooms anyways because they're terrible. I believe it was $5, something like that.
Around there,
They would take out, resurface it, and then refit. They got epoxy. You see it in garages now. I think you see a lot of it. It looks awesome. That was last spring. He redid it again. They went up. I think it was only $300, which is actually pretty good because it's a year later. We have to get a requote on it to add another room, but if it's $2,500 per room, let's just add another $2,500 to the weight room area to do that new classroom. So it'd be about $75. But Jen's got that quote with everything they did. They fixed the flooring and do everything. So, but yeah, I don't remember the company. You know, too.
Not off the top of my head, it's in my book though.
Okay.
So, any questions? Like I said, right now our biggest goal is to clean out the CNA room, get it cleaned out, get the beds down to the Mayo Clinic. Once that's cleaned out, then the moving can happen. We can move the weight room. Once the weight room is moved, then we can. If you've been in the locker room, most of the pipes and all the vents in there, they don't work anyways. Tim said we could pull all of those things out. Then there'd just be one big square room basically, and just paint and floor. So that's kind of when the moving would start. Now the teachers are moving, like I said, the different floors. That's a for sure thing because that's just moving their rooms. That's no cost to that. And like I said, we're trying to keep the minimal cost, and if we can do it while the kids are here, we can utilize some of the kills and move some of the stuff. So,
When will you get into the clinic?
well, that's a
Still a moving target?
we got the lease. We signed something, had to answer a couple questions. We sent it back. I've sent an email a couple of times, waiting for the keys so we can move down there. So I'm hoping here the next week or two. But our goal right now, like I said, get that cleaned out in there, see what we got. I don't know if it happens in a month, 6 months, a year, 2 weeks. There's really not. So I'm not going to come ask, like I said, flooring. Yes, we're going to have to do some flooring, but we're not going to come to you guys and ask you for a lot of different things. Trevor did get a wellness grant today for $2,000. Wrote a grant out for some wellness, and they actually got some kettlebells and free weights and stuff like that.
Dumbbells, rack, kettlebells.
Because that's what the grant was for. So we're getting grants for stuff like that. So just want you guys to be aware of it. If you hear anything, like I said, I wanted to be upfront with you guys what we're thinking. But it's not just a weight room. I wanted to make sure people understood that it's not a weight room. We're doing this here, we're doing that here, and it's a multi-purpose area that I see the need that teachers could utilize as well. So now is there some things we're going to bumps along the way of, yes, we got to get new locks maybe on some of the classroom doors so people can't get in there. If we come in from the outside door, do we park? There's some things we got to work out so we're not walking through, but I think they're pretty minor when it comes down just to offering different. Because I don't foresee a brand new building in the near future.
Yeah.
So we're not like Grand Meadow gets all that, some of that stuff. But I think we have the building and we have the space. If we're creative, I think we can still provide some really cool opportunities.
I think it sounds
For our
awesome.
kids. So, like I said, this isn't set in stone. So if you guys have more ideas, this is just stuff that I could come up with of trying to involve everybody. Like I said, from community ed to teachers to sports to.
My brother works in lacrosse for a gym, and the guy that owns that gym owns 2 in Roch, Iron something, but he's willing to donate to our cause as well. I know the YMCA has something going on as well. We'll figure it out.
So, any questions on that? I know it's a lot, and you might have a million questions, but like I said, creative minds, if you have any other ideas. Last thing I do want to give is just recognize Jim and Marcia for their years of service here at LO. Wanted to thank them and wish them well. And according to Jim, he'll be back subbing for us. He's going to focus on his organic farming, kind of like he did before he started working here. He was almost a full-time sub, and but he wants freedom to do his farming. So we will see Jim still around here, and I just want to wish those two well and thank them for their time. So sorry, I almost talked to the longest term.
That's good. Thanks. Can I request a brief intermission?
Yes.
Yep. I just really need
Grant,
to.
we talked too much. Sorry.
No, you
I'll go back to my.
No, I really like all this information, but
Yeah.
I'll be
We'll
right
take
back.
a
Yeah.
8-minute recess and we will reconvene back at 7:20.
thank you.
Really? Yep.
It is 7:20, so we'll bring the meeting back to order. Next, we have superintendent report and comments.
All right, good evening, everybody. Piggybacking off what Mr. Hungerholt had just said when he closed his remarks, a big thank you to Marcia Jevney and Jim Hubka for their years of service and their vast contributions to Leroy. They're going to be hard positions to fill, mainly due to those folks. You know, they contributed a lot, so thank you to them. Aaron also mentioned the radio spot and videos. Thank you to Axel for helping us out and promoting our school district. We have been doing our monthly Q&As, but we feel like because it's live, we're maybe not getting as much of an audience as we normally would want. So we are going to do monthly videotaping with Axel, and you guys saw that earlier or last month. And then we're going to try to get more radio spots too, if we can, and continue to promote not only the great things happening, but also maybe projects we're working on, needs that we have, or even, you know, stop any negativity that's out there and really be out there and be vulnerable with everybody. So we're excited about that. I sent this off in an email to you folks a few weeks back, but COVID continues. Just as a matter of fact, today you're all emailed a letter that we do have COVID still, but I just want to remind all of you in our community and our listeners and our audience that we do continue to stack supplies, whether it's disinfectant wipes, whether it is disinfecting, masks, whatever people need, we still have those throughout the building, and we do preach that as much as we can. Spring activities, Trevor really touched on those quite a bit. He is busy. A lot of weather-related instances come into spring. But please make sure you check our scheduling because the kids sure do like it when people show up and support them, and it's pretty fun. I did submit another federal grant for new food service equipment. I applied for, it's a pretty competitive grant. It's only about $10,000 worth, but it's for a new convection oven. I have not heard back, but please, I'm asking you to I'm pleading that you keep your fingers crossed that we get that, because truthfully, our food service director has done a great job and has made some nice changes there, and let's continue to support her, so that sure would be a nice addition. And I'll keep you posted on that. Let's see here. Teacher evaluations, Aaron is doing a nice job of continuing to wrap that up. I'll get into it later tonight that we started a new model, teaching model, and many of you have read my emails over and over again. We've talked about it already, but he's wrapping those up. We're also wrapping up many of the non-certified evaluations. They should all be done by the fiscal year end. Dylan is right there. He's one of them that we already have on the books. Tiffany as well, sitting right there. So that's exciting. Chairwoman Frazier and I have been talking. Unfortunately, we are in need of copy machines around here. They are 10 to 15 years old, and so our technology director and I, along with our business manager, have been really pounding out some numbers. I might just pull the plug if we get a good number, and you will see that in front of you at a board meeting, and we can surely pull it and talk about it, and Deb will tell you when it's there. You won't miss it. But we'll tell you, and then we can talk about it too. So just be aware of a little bit bigger purchase than normal is what it'll be, around that $10,000 mark. We had our state fire marshal inspection on April 4th. Again, outstanding job by our custodial staff as well as our entire staff. Very little negative safety checklists that happened. Little things like extension cords, maybe artwork too close to the ceiling, normal things you see in a school, you know, that we just had to take down or reiterate to staff that we can't do. So overall, a great report again. I know I've sent this out quite a few times, but I always want to keep you in the loop on this. Business Manager Millering, Mr. Hungerholt and I meet weekly. We've started meeting weekly since January, every Wednesday at 11:30. We've been talking about the budget. That coincides actually with him building the master schedule. The master schedule is our day-to-day operations, curriculum, instruction, staffing, contracts, you name it. It's all a part of the master schedule, which ultimately leads to our budget too. I've also been keeping you in the loop of what's happening in St. Paul at the state capitol. I try to let our staff know what's going on there too. Hopefully they're going to start coming together now after Easter break has happened, and we'll see some money heading our way. If I was a betting woman, I wouldn't say a whole lot is coming, as is normal, but it sure would be nice. More on the formula would be good, so then we have control. We always want money on the formula. We don't want money on mandates, is what I'm trying to say. We want it on the formula. So, but they don't listen to us very well. Let's see. Also, just so everybody's aware, MDE did release the 2021's graduation rate. Now, it's a little lower than normal, but keep in mind, these kids have gone through COVID. Our teachers have gone through COVID. Our communities, our board members, we've gone through COVID. And so we are still one of the top in the nation for graduation rates. It was, with 57,137 students, it was over 83%, which I'm pretty proud of, considering what had happened. So let's see here. Oh, speaking of graduation, don't forget graduation is just around the corner. It is on our board agenda. We will continue to have it outside. At our May board meeting, we'll talk a little bit more about it, and we'll probably have some handouts for you where people can sit, things like that. But we're pretty excited about that too. Let's see here. Oh, in just a few short weeks, we are going to again volunteer our parking lot and lavatories to the Wapsie Great Western Line Trail. It's pretty neat. Just the last couple years, we've started partnering with them in terms of our community give back to help them out a little bit and recognize that we do have a quality partnership with them. And so that'll be fun to meet with them again. Erin has mentioned this a couple times. We're continuing to research and dig deeper into curriculum, and I know I've sent off a couple emails to all of you folks. We are particularly concentrating on science right now because that's high on the cycle. And Chairwoman Frazier is lucky enough, she comes into my office and gets to look at all the curriculum boxes with me. It's my most favorite thing to do. I always steal them from Erin. But anyway, we're working on that. The price is a little high for my taste right now, so I'm asking, or Erin is actually asking the company to reevaluate their pricing with us because I just didn't think it was where it should be. They're kind of exposing COVID again, in my opinion, with that price, so we're negotiating. And I think that's it tonight, but thank you. Erin, Teresa, and I have a couple other things when it gets to Teresa's time later on tonight. So.
Thank you, Jen. Next, we have the superintendent mid-year evaluation and school board mid-year evaluation.
All right. Well, I'll jump in first. If those three, get one of those. I have a handout for you guys. Okay, Erin, you can share with me if you want to. I only made 7, so. So I've been a superintendent for quite a few years, and as I told Chairwoman Frazier, I was a little taken back when I heard about a mid-year. I didn't know what that was, to be honest with you. So I did some research, and I didn't know what to do. I've always had evaluations one time a year or not at all. So I don't mind being your guinea pig, and I hope that's what I am tonight. But I do appreciate the goals you laid out way back in July because they are goals that this district needs, and I hope those goals continue as we work through the strategic planning process because I think they're really, really important because they do tackle kind of the big things in our district. Tonight I'm just going to give you a snapshot of where I think I have achieved the goals that you have granted me in this handout. So I'd like to go through this. If you have questions, jump in, please do. And basically everything you have seen, everything in this packet has been sent to you in one way or another, or talked about at a board meeting, talked about at a committee meeting. Maybe Erin has addressed it, maybe Trevor has addressed it, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll start with that. So the first one is, of course, the first page, and I apologize to the folks out in the audience. I'll try and make this quick. Is back in September. I'm sorry, I keep saying July. Back in September, where the goals were established. So we had the standards of governance team, teaching and learning, school district operations, and then there's elements within, which all of you know, and then of course the evidence. If you go to the next page, for me, in terms of not only establishing the goals, but then working on the goals, and then of course meeting the goals, my biggest thing with all of you was communication. And communication, in my opinion, is ever evolving. And, you know, it's really critical. It truly is. You may not like what I say, and I'm okay with that, but you can't say I don't communicate to you. And that's what I want from you. You can't say otherwise. So some of the communications we've been working on or developing are the bi-monthly bulleted informational emails to the board and staff. And if you go back a couple sheets, these are just a couple examples of what they look like. You guys got one last week, but here's just examples for your packet. Important legislative, legal, climate, and informational emails sent commonplace almost daily. You receive an email from me. Today, for example, the COVID email. I also forwarded off Trevor's grant that he received. I thought that was so good. Y'all needed to hear about it. So you also get those from me. Aaron and I had started establishing a year and a half ago Q&A sessions. Initially, they were very, very well attended, and then it started dwindling off, and then we started kind of asking questions, doing our research. It's just not a good time for people to show up, hence Axel. And now he'll be doing videoed monthly Q&As for us, so people can just click on their leisure and watch Aaron and I talk, I guess. We also did some monthly video creations with him when COVID struck and things like that, so we want to continue to do that when there are just odd things that are happening. Consistent use of school district Facebook page and website. As you see, we're trying to clean up all those things and really get information out. We have nothing to hide in this district. We don't. We need to be proud of who we are and what we stand for and what we're doing. Committee creations. That's another form of communication that all of you are a part of in one form or another. So we created quite a few committees this past year and a half. Staff, school board, community meetings. They're all the time. Creation of handbooks, human resource documents, payroll documents, etc. And I'll get into those a little bit later tonight. Radio talk shows, so I put that on because Axel just invited us to that. And then regular parent community letters. You guys always receive those, especially during COVID. We were monthly sending those out. We've kind of retracted those a little bit more now and being more strategic in what we sent out, including, you know, we brought back, as Chad suggested to us, the monthly newsletter to our community. So we have implemented that back again. So that's one thing. If you flip to the next page, well, before I read off one of my favorite quotes, here is also the board agenda from way back when I started in July. The school board did not receive notes from a superintendent, and I don't agree with that at all. I have to take time to do this, and they're really important to me that when you guys are discussing and making decisions for our district, you get information from me that is accurate and timely. So for Chad and Deb particularly, this was the first email sent. I did go online, as you're talking strategic planning, I went online and basically broke down everything in terms of what your mission statement is and your goals as a district. Hence why you see the gray bars across all the notes. But that leads to kind of my most favorite saying is when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So coming in new to your district as your superintendent, I wanted to implement some changes for you. And regardless of goals, regardless of your mission, there were just things that needed to change. Whether it was policy, procedure, process, documentation, payroll, HR, climate, culture, whatever it may be. I hope I've had a hand in a lot of that as we move forward. So anyway, let's move on. You guys can move these two documents back, and we'll go to this document, the goal 1, it's called. So the standard is governance team. The elements are strategic planning, evidence scheduled implementation of tasks within the strategic plan, 2, monthly progress reporting once the plan is adopted. I know I failed that because it's more than monthly. I give you information, so. The biggest piece of evidence I can show is this is online, and you guys were sent this, but it's called our World's Best Workforce. This was instituted probably 5 to 7 years ago now. Is that about right, Angie? Was it? Okay. Yep, so this is a superintendent, principal, and staffing strategic plan. We have to have this legislatively. You know, as Deb suggested tonight, a strategic plan for us would be great. There's no legislation that demands you do that. It's a great thing, but you don't have to. We actually have to, and this is our strategic plan, and you can see this online too.
When you say we have to, you mean we as?
A school district
Right.
have to do this.
Right.
Yep. So I won't go through it totally,
Right.
but take your time and ask questions though anytime about it. I did add, as Teresa mentioned tonight on the next page, the strategic planning for MSBA. I've been doing research for you. I know that's kind of outside of my bounds, but I've done it before, so I thought I could help you out a little bit, so I thought I'd put that in there. Goal number 2, teaching and learning, curriculum and instruction, personnel and evaluations. The evidence is, well, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of evidence that I can share. I'll probably share more than that. The first one that you will see is, of course, our 10-year plan. You guys have seen this now quite a few times. We are implementing this, and I'm a big believer in this because it matches the Minnesota Department of Education and their standards. Now, when you do that and you start researching, for example, science, you can become more clear of your vision, your mission, what your teachers are teaching, what kids need to know, what the state and feds are demanding, and for me as your superintendent, how financially feasible is it going to be to implement anything here. So if you look, this curriculum cycle really gets our teachers deep into what they need to know. They will look at a curriculum, science I'm going to keep using, they'll review it, we purchase it, they implement it, they assess it as they go, and then they evaluate the needs. Is this curriculum going to work next time? What are the new standards coming out by the state of Minnesota and the feds? But this really helps us plan and be ready for the next cycle to come through. So with that, on the next sheet, I decided that, well, because this wasn't happening, and I just don't think it's fair, and I need to thank the board for supporting me in this effort, our teachers were working really, really hard at developing their curriculum, reviewing it, working on purchasing. Sometimes it was very minimal. Sometimes it was just maybe a daily lesson, but there's still some, well, Deb can probably attest to this more than anybody sitting here, but there is strategy when it comes to curriculum writing. There really, really is. It's an intense, hard process. So I decided to go through the process of inviting teachers, if they are going to do that, they need to submit a curriculum writing form, so we have it documented, so they also get paid. But if you look back at the last 2 forms, I developed a form for them that talks about, hey, this is what I'm going to do with the curriculum. I'm not just going to buy the curriculum. Chad, I'm going to actually show you what I can do with the curriculum. And that's what they work through. That's what they're doing in the summer. They're not just going to sit around and talk about it. They're working. They're working. The next thing you'll find is, and thank you, Dylan, for this, by the way. Dylan and I have been tackling our website left and right recently. And one of the places where we really tackled was the testing platform, and so this is now out to the public where you can see what our testing calendar is throughout the year, and there are quick links throughout, so parents and students as well as staff can click on anything they need to. If they have a question, what is the MCAs? What is the AccuPlacer? What is, whatever it may be, we have that data now, and they can find that. So that's one thing. You all want to talk about FastBridge, MCA. Well, this is one thing to do that. We're communicating it out, what these things are and what we need to do. Also on there is, of course, this year's MCA testing schedule. And the back side, you guys have not seen this yet, but this is what FastBridge is. Okay, so if you look at this, It talks about the importance of interventions, early interventions. Key is early interventions with our kids, whether it's if they are failing courses or if they are a gifted and talented student, how are we supporting them? We assess them first to see where they're at. And we have master teachers that can do that. And so FastBridge helps us not only with the data, because I'm not a big believer in FastBridge data, but I'm a big believer in their process. And I found this, and I thought, oh, I got to show this to the board, because this is really a cool process, how they figure things out. The next thing is, too, though, with staffing, it's really important that we develop our staff. As Mr. Carrier just said tonight, him and his coaches went on a great staff development. Probably couldn't have been better. We need to send our staff on development. We cannot live isolated here in Leroy without sending people off to learn the best of the best things. You know, it's not coming to us. We have to go there. And as possibly an email I sent you, we do set aside 2% in staff development dollars every year. Is it in January? Or is it during July board meeting? I can't remember.
I think we do it in July.
Is it? We started doing it right when I came because I noticed there wasn't that, and no fault to anybody, but there wasn't that, I guess, desire to really say, hey, we believe in our staff and we want the best staff educating the students. So we need to do that too. We need to promote that. So this is one thing too. The letters training, I know I had sent this off and we actually congratulated a couple of our teachers, Tanya and Carrie. I know they're going to be going to it. But this is an opportunity for those two educators particularly. It's about language and reading. So we're pretty excited about that. So they are willing to come to the board to talk about that too. The next thing is just the first year I was here, it was really my job, and I hope you think it was my job, to do research and really dig deep into what is Leroy, what do we need, having hard conversations, talking to Aaron at length. Sometimes we'd stay here late at night talking, like what can we do different, what's needed, what are some good things, and how can we expose that more. Well, our next step was to say, hey, wait a minute. And I saw this right away. Aaron wasn't doing the principal job he needed to do, and no fault of his. I would blame everybody else but him at this point. He was very, very much consumed by student management, consumed by supervision, consumed by alleged bullying behaviors that weren't happening, things like that. His role, in my opinion, and as a person who actually licensed superintendents and principals as another job, is to be our instructional leader. He needs to be in those classrooms with teachers. He needs to be talking about the curriculum cycle. He needs to talk about big picture student management. He needs to talk about staffing. He has to help me through the budget process as he's creating a master schedule, the every minute of every day, daily operations here. And so that's kind of where it all started. Like, wait a minute here, Aaron, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? And there's a lot of reasons why. And so we came together and decided, wait a minute here, we need a different kind of view of what we can do for the students here, first of all. And second of all, what can we do for the teachers so then, of course, they are supported in our students. So as all of you know, you are a part of this process, is our student support advisor. This is just a recap of the PowerPoint we gave you early on, but we're pretty proud of it. As you know, our student services team is outstanding. Aaron is a little bit humble about it. Schools are reaching out to us not only about our CD, but also our student services team. We have 3 schools right now just in this immediate area that want to do what we're doing. I told them I'm going to charge them for the PowerPoint if they ask for it again, and I'll give it to you guys. You guys can have the charge fee. But we're on the map, not for Aaron and I, or the teachers making sure their resume looks good or Trevor's resume looks good. No, this is for the kids and our teachers overall and our parents. And it's working, folks. Axel, I did put your article in here just as a reminder that we want people to know what we're doing. Yes, we even want them to know the bad stuff. We're fine with that. I don't think there is a whole lot, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm kind of naive sometimes. But at the end of the day, a lot of our decisions are based on kids, and this department really did a lot with that. if you flip this page over, the newspaper article over, we're also having deeper discussions now about what we can do as a student services team. So one of the emails I sent off to the team was, hey, this is something I stole from another district, and I do that often, I'll admit that. But how can we get our kids jobs in the future? You know, can we help them with that? So do we reach out to employers and have them send us their job openings or their job opportunities, whatever it is? So I just wanted to give you an example that we're doing things every day in that department to make it bigger and better, and ultimately, you know, lead our kids in the right direction. So this is just one thing that was sent off. And Trevor, thanks for the response. I know you're going to work on it, man. I appreciate that. This is also part of maybe later on when we talk more about HR stuff, but I thought I'd put it here. It just makes sense. With everything we do around here, we evaluate everything, including people. I mean, I am expecting you to evaluate me once a year. I wasn't expecting the mid-year, but I do expect, yes, there's no doubt. I'm fine with that. We do that with our student services team as well. So we're not just throwing things out there. And as I tell you, every board meeting, we're bringing you data, but we're looking at that data. We don't just run the data to show you. We're looking at it. And then this is just one evaluation form that we do, and we'll get to more later on tonight. Here is the Student Services Monthly Report. This is just an email that I sent to Trevor and Aaron. You saw one of the bullets down there, what the Student Services team is. I'm going to be transparent with you, that if I tell you something, it's probably told to Aaron as well, or vice versa, that, hey, I told the school board about the Student Services team. Sure enough, here it is. So this is what I asked them to report on. Scheduled events, awards, student participation numbers, etc., academic data, which is grading numbers, A through F numbers, all of those things. Bullying data, school climate and culture pieces, and anything else they could think of, and they have been doing that. Here's also the career navigation. I added that. You guys have seen many of these things before, but just something for everybody to explore as kids, so we wanted to do that. FAFSA, being we're talking about college for these kids too. Again, when data comes to Aaron and I, or vice versa, the student services team, we send each other information almost daily. I know we're all kind of sick of each other, but we're trying to do this right and give each other enough data and information to do the right things. Moving on to this one here. We've talked about this a few times. This is our new teacher evaluation system. We moved from Charlotte Danielson. She was no doubt, and I hope the teachers would admit this too, that she was no doubt since 1974 the best teacher evaluation master there probably was in the entire world. But her practices have become a little bit archaic, a little bit watered down. And so a new company or new man, Marzano, came out with a new evaluation piece. So here, I found this, and I apologize, I couldn't make my bubbles any bigger. Nothing would fit on the screen. So if you want to see this, you got to come to my office to see it. But anyway, way back in 2017, a lot of data came out between the two evaluation systems. And what they're seeing is with Marzano, they dig deeper in teacher reflection, dig deeper in teacher data diving, and how important it is to know your children, not only if they know science and math and reading, but as Trevor said earlier, are they creating relationships with kids where, hey, we can have hard conversations, you know? So that's what this is about. So I asked Aaron if he could go to the staff, the teaching staff, and ask them what are their feelings on Marzano versus Charlotte, and sure enough, they wanted to move in that direction. So that's where we're at. If you turn to the second page of that, I did steal this piece, so I did keep the references below. I will not claim those, but this gives you a little bit more, a condensed version of what the Marzano focused teaching model is, and I know we've talked quite a bit about that. But that is one of the goals. Let's start looking at teacher evals, and we're pretty excited about it. The next sheet is the evaluation form for the principal. Now, come to find out, superintendents before me would write up a paragraph and kind of give it to Aaron and walk away. I don't believe in that. I believe there needs to be constant discussions, having open communication, that if I disagree with him and if he disagrees back, that's great. We want that. We want to have a relationship where we can do that. Part of this evaluation talks about those things. Being able to communicate, support teachers, have hard conversations with teachers, have hard conversations with your superintendent. That is okay. So this is a formal observation form that I've used in the past that has, for example, our principals in Lewiston were unionized. So they approved this. So as a union, they approved this. I asked them if I could steal it. Again, here I am stealing stuff. And they had said, absolutely, it's our favorite one. So Aaron and I sat down when I first came on board, and I said, this is what I'd like to use. Take a few weeks to look at it. Initially, you're a little hesitant, but it was good. It was good. So anyway, so we do, that was also one of the goals. Will the principal have an eval? You guys have seen this now all year. This is his eval. Also, I came on, and unfortunately, many of our support staff, cabinet level staff, so for example, Tiffany, or Tim Bly, our building and grounds director, John Stockdale, our transportation director, did not have formal, solid evaluation tools. This one I developed years and years ago, and have instituted it in other districts, and we did here also. This is a lot like our teacher model, where the staff also get an opportunity to evaluate themselves. Oftentimes, we'll find out that our staff are harder on themselves than Aaron and I could ever be. But yeah, it gives us opportunities to talk about, hey, these are our expectations. It's sent early, so it's sent about 2 months early. I'm trying to think of Tiffany's timeline here. About 2 months early, so they know this is what we're going to be talking about. This is what you can expect. We talk about how important it is that you're developed in some of these areas or not, or how can the district help you be developed in these areas. So there's that. The next one is our paraprofessional. So our teachers help with this as well, which is really great. We get feedback from them often, and frankly, it's usually always great feedback. We have a great group of paraprofessionals that, similar to our cabinet members, just go above and beyond, and so these are pretty easy to fill out, but they're pretty fun too when you can sit down and listen to Aaron or listen to a teacher talk to a pair about expectations and growth and strengths and weaknesses. So that's pretty cool.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Does this happen yearly, beginning of the year, end of the year?
End of year.
End of the year,
End
so
of
that
year.
they have feedback for next year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And keep in mind too, just because we evaluate one time a year doesn't mean we're not talking
Right.
to our staff.
Right.
I mean, if we see, for example, if Teresa, you know what, Teresa, you're late every day, we're having those conversations. We're probably not going to put it in the eval because they've
Right.
probably grown. And hey, they're here 20 minutes before I am or whatever. We'll recognize it more that way, that, yeah, fulfills, obligations perfectly or follows directives, whatever it may be.
Right.
We'll do it that way instead. So the next set, I won't go through all of them, but custodian, secretary, cook, these are 3 performance assessments as well. I know you've seen all these, so I won't go through them, but again, as Deb asked, we do these yearly, and oftentimes when we do talk to our staff members, it is based off these evaluations. We don't have them in front of us, but again, if it's a tardy issue, those are found in the evaluation. So there's nothing new, nothing shocking.
Right.
We've had multiple conversations. This is new to the district, and I really appreciate Aaron and Trevor with this. We have not had coaches' evaluations here, and so Trevor came to me, this wasn't too long ago, but talked about, wow, what am I going to do? This isn't right, and he's right. It wasn't right. They'd be random discussions. They'd be scary discussions sometimes from what I'm gathering in the past. And so we needed to formalize it a little bit because these are very important people. Mm-hmm. Not formalizing because we want to get you. I'm surely hoping my mid-year is not a get you action. No, we are professionals here, and we want to make sure everybody else is treated the same, including our coaches and advisors. And so I sent Trevor some links to other school districts that have really quality evaluations. And so Trevor went to town and made some really, really nice evaluations that you see in front of you. So we have the head coach, assistant coach, and then, of course, a student evaluation on the coaches. Now, that doesn't hold as much weight as, of course, the AD, principal, assistant coach, whatever may have. But these are really important documents as you help your people grow. We're not about coming in and saying, wow, somebody screwed up and we're going to fire them. I will not do that. If that's what you want me to do, I will leave, because I am not that kind of person. I'm the kind of person that we have hard conversations, and sometimes we have to say, you know what, we don't like what you're doing, but we're going to help you get there. We're going to exhaust everything we can to make you a better employee here. We have face-to-face conversations. And so thank you, Trevor, for helping with that, and of course, Aaron supported that tremendously and likes that, that we have that now in place. The next one is, which I think is a really important document. It looks like this. It's your non-affiliated. This is, Tim and Deb were part of this process with me. It was agonizing to me my first year here that we had a lot of staff that just weren't treated as fair as I thought they should have. And I'm not suggesting I'm the know-it-all for this. It was just my gut feeling it wasn't right. And so I needed something in writing to make sure we support these folks. So these are all people who are not part of either union in the district. So they are not teachers and they are not non-certified. They are non-affiliated staff. So that was a nice kind of bring everybody together. Let's talk about this. Let's work through this. It took a lot of time, a lot of research. Thanks to Tim and Deb for coming to a couple meetings and really hashing this out with me. So that felt good to get that done. On the next one, and I only have the front copy, because you guys already have a copy of this. I only have the front cover letter of it, or cover of it. But our faculty handbook, this is something Aaron and I take a lot of pride in. Again, we want to continue to communicate with our staff. We want to make sure we are supporting them, but in order to support them, they need to know where we stand, what we believe in, what we can do to support them. So a lot of it is through documentation, and this is one of those pieces. So the faculty handbook, as you've already seen in the last couple of meetings, we've made changes, kind of in the student handbook more than faculty. Yeah. But if we see legislation coming, if we see we need changes in certain something, we come to you immediately. But this, we do look at this often, at least talk about things within there of what we can change. Because this is, of course, a communication tool. I don't want Cassidy coming to me and say, well, you never told me. Where I can say, oh, no, we've talked about this. Here's my email on this date, or we had this meeting. It's only fair to them, not me. It's all about them, that they have the right to know. They have the right to know. The next one is kind of an important one. So again, as Aaron and I can attest to, we didn't really have quality hiring practices here in terms of internally and and everything that had to do with hiring, whether it was the procedures for hiring, background checks, whatever it may be. It was just kind of all over the place. And so we had a lengthy conversation about how can we kind of ring this in. And so some of the documents we're going to be talking about relate to this manual here. Now, this is not approved by any of you. This was developed by us, but we follow it very closely. It's our hiring practices, procedures, and policy manual. It has our protocols, our committee sign-off. If you are involved in a committee, you need to sign your name here that you were present at this interview. Job descriptions, well, you all have those. Interview questions, we have tons of interview questions for tons of positions. And you'll see that here tonight too. But I did a lot of research to find a lot of great questions that would fit our needs here. Our volunteer policy is in here, and because that's not truly because it's hiring per se, but just at a different level. Our application tracking, and Tiffany helped me make it so nice and pretty in here, so that helps a lot. Applications for employment, our contracts are laid out in this booklet, and of course our background checks. But if you move to this piece, this kind of shows you. Trevor outlined just recently how he interviewed for a head coaching position. Puts the date, the time, the candidates, who's on the committee, and all sorts of notes and information that we need to make a quality decision. So I can say in my notes to all of you, the vetting process happened. The vetting process did happen. We aren't coming to you saying, oh, this is my friend, so I want him hired. No, we are actually going through a process. This was also talked about, if you go to the next page, this is just a sample of interview questions. I don't like to share interview questions because we don't want future candidates to know about these, so keep these close to your vest if you could. The next one is, when I came on, and thankful to most of you when I came on, minus Deb and Chad, of course, that you prompted me and supported me in my effort of getting job descriptions out there. So just tonight, I'm just going to share too the teacher position and the accounts payable position, so Tiffany and the teachers. For example, the teacher position, and Tiffany's of course, both these positions went through the committee, so Tiffany saw hers before it went to the school board. The teachers saw theirs before it went to the school board. I got input, I did research. This is part of that goal, is that we need to continue to have information for staff before we go down the road of discipline, termination, anything like that. These practices and policies need to be in place. Need to. This is a protection for the district. The next one you'll see is we like to also promote how great our staff is doing. So you can see on the back side is the email I sent off way back on the 5th, so just a few days ago, that we want all our staff to fill this out, and we're just going to put it on our website, Facebook page, things like that, to promote them and all the great things they're doing. I didn't put this in here, but I have to talk about the yucky things too. So I won't hand this out, but all of you as board members are aware that sometimes I have to have really, really difficult conversations with staff, and sometimes it leads to a letter of expectation or sometimes a disciplinary letter. Now I want you to be reminded that I'm a big believer, and I said this in the interview, when you interviewed me. I went back to look to make sure, but I did say this, that when I am disciplining a staff member, before I do that, I have exhausted every angle I can to talk to them, to provide staff development, to send them emails, to be, for example, in their classrooms, to invite them into meetings with Aaron and I, to invite our, for example, I may use Chrissy as an example, our EA president if necessary, to do that, send them off to other schools on how to be a good employee in their particular discipline. But I have exhausted everything. Again, I'm not here to terminate people. I am here to help them grow and make sure our kids get the best education. And so, but sometimes they're not even meeting me halfway. And I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. And you should like that as your superintendent. That is my job. Yep, you're going to get emails about me that they didn't like what I did. And I'm okay with it. I'll own every email you get. But until you come to me and find out what I have done to some of the employees to help them before they get this, then it's a different conversation. Okay? But I won't share these. You can come ask for them. You can come ask for them, but I can't share them here. Goal number 3 is school district operations. Element is facilities, so evidence is implemented the facilities plan after adoption, and 2, monthly progress reporting. So, way back, March 3rd of 2021, my first year here, I sent an email off to the entire district asking for volunteers to be part of our building and grounds committee. You may recall, as a school board, you guys actually approved that committee. And it is so appreciated, you don't know. Actually, all the committees that I brought forward, you have approved, and I can't thank you enough for that, because again, it's about communication, vulnerability, tackling problems and issues. So this email went out, and I just attached a sample of an agenda But all of these are posted online. We post everything online. Tiffany does a great job. As soon as I send her minutes or an agenda, she's on it that day. But we take minutes, we do agendas, we do all that, but this is just a sample of one of them. If you turn the page, this is kind of the emails that are sent out to the committee. Sometimes I've sent them to you, forwarded them off to you to say, hey, just FYI, this is coming your way. But this is just a sample again of what the communication looks like when it comes to our building and grounds. Here too, this is a pretty extensive notes, the last page here, where it just talks about, hey, this is all the things that we are working on, or that what we're going to be talking about, or what we need to do. So not only are you guys getting extensive emails, unfortunately, sometimes our committees are too. The next piece is, as Dave mentioned earlier, this is another strategic planning piece. This is this yellow form right here. You guys have seen this many, many times. And our committee has too, and there's one thing at our committee meetings, we do talk about LTFM dollars. Poor Dave and Tim can jump in on this, and Cass if you want to. Pretty boring stuff. But I thought it might be important for all of you to see too, just from your Pay 16 levy and long-term facility maintenance revenue entitlement all the way down to the present. You guys have not seen this before from what we recall, or what we can find, because it tracks when you go in. So your business managers and superintendents did not do this, but I think it's really important you see that I am tracking your dollars as we are moving forward, not only with our building and grounds, but also, yes, our master scheduling. Are we cutting FTEs? Are we adding FTEs? So our general fund, how impactful is it? So I thought you guys might like to see this too. And to make this even more strategically planned, I needed a baseline. And so my first year here was all this yellow. This is what we did, but I needed that baseline. We needed to tackle items so then I can start planning with this committee, and of course all of you sitting here on the board, what are our next steps? So part of our job as the committee this year, this summer, we are going to prioritize our facilities in the upcoming years. Okay, that's where this is.
Right.
We did now, of course, just approve the big LED project. So the next couple of years it's going to be a little tighter, maybe a little bit easier. Who knows? I hope so. In terms of prioritizing some of these issues that we continue to bring forward. Also, in terms of that, if ever the school board, the staff knows this, and they always, well, he picks on me all the time about my 3-year advisors. Everybody is welcome to look through this. This is every document I could find in the school district related to bids, quotes, building and grounds issue, whatever, including all mine I've had the past year and a half. So it's all in here. Teresa knows right where it is. It's right when you walk in on that tiny table. So you're welcome to see that, but I'm a big believer in documentation, and again, people can look at it whenever they want. We're not hiding. We have nothing to hide here. Nothing to hide. The next thing is, this is kind of a float your boat kind of document. So Aaron and I are regularly having department meetings, whether it's a science department meeting, a building and grounds meeting, for example, a pool meeting. I'm glad Lindsay's still here tonight, so she knows we've been meeting regularly. And frankly, these are really great meetings. We talk about the really bad things going on in departments. We talk about the good things. We talk about monies. We talk about student management sometimes, whatever it may be. But this is like a really good one where we can say, hey, we have tackled some pretty great things in this department. So I'm using you, Lindsay. I'm sorry, I warned your husband I was gonna. But we're gonna be doing such things as a spring summer flyer and really market and advertise a pool. She has this comprehensive handbook she has worked on, and it will now be coming forward to the board every July. This is truly an awesome handbook, folks. Just awesome. But the kids are now being developed in it. They get copies of it. It's sitting out for anybody to see, but all of you will have it, so you can own it too. You get shared ownership of this. So we did that too. We talk about scheduling of our staff, particularly in the pool area. We did all these things, but I wanted to just cut and paste this so you could see kind of what our department meetings look like. We're not sitting here not doing anything. We are doing stuff while we're here at Leroy. We're working hard on things. Another thing I'd like to show you too, speaking of handbooks, is this one. Ryan Evans, are you still here?
Ryan left.
He left. Ryan Evans, he knows he knows for the past year and a half I've been working on handbooks and procedure manuals and policy manuals. He knows I love 3-ring binders of information. So that young man decides to make a concession stand handbook. So I have to tell you, it is awesome. It is awesome. I'm so proud of him for this. So anybody who works the concession stand,
Thank you to his wife. His wife is awesome too.
she helped with that. So yes, so we are very proud of that too. So these are just 2 great examples of what's going on, how we are facilitating discussions related to, hey, let's do things right around here. You may not like what we're doing, and that's okay. Then tell us what we're doing. Give us something to make it right for you then, is what we're saying. If you go to the last couple pages, this is another thing. If you could look at the next 2 pages, one says Superintendent Communication, December 14th, and the other one is absence of heat in certain areas of the building. I will continue to communicate things, but when I communicate things, I'm researching things. So for example, your football scoreboard, it for years was out. For years. All we needed to do was contact the insurance company, ask if there was a lightning strike that was hit near there, and if it was in the 70% or more range, we would get covered in terms of insurance, and sure enough it was. They even went back those 4 or 5 years for me to check. But it's things like that. So again, don't think I am just throwing things out your way. Research has been done to make things right. The other thing is the absence of heat. Many of you have been in the building. We're in this room tonight, as a matter of fact, because the heat is too much in the other room. But I work very closely with our building and grounds director, Mr. Bly, when things go wrong. And oftentimes we're giggling at the time we're done with our conversations. But I had to do a lot of research on this, and I thank Tim for helping kind of guide me on what I needed to do. But basically, this is when our boiler was going out and we weren't sure. We knew something wasn't right, and so research had to happen. But I also need to communicate out to people who are in the building, who are freezing or living in 85-degree classrooms. So not only are you communicated to, but the staff is too, and communicated with in timely ways, but also research-based. Finally, my mom was a church organist for about 25 years of my life. And oftentimes we'd have to sit in the front of the church because we were very, very naughty. She had 3 girls right away. And I was the oldest of the 3. We have 5 total. But we'd always have to sit in the front, and she demanded we had the church hymnal open, regardless of what the song was. But this was one of the songs that was often played, and Mom would practice at home. But it's called, "May the Work I've Done Speak for Me." And I hope tonight I'm sharing with you, even though it's mid-year, I'm pretty confident we won't have an end of year, because that's only a couple months away. But I hope this shows you that you have a very loyal employee here, and so I'm trying to do my very best, and I hope I am for you, and I hope I am for the staff and also our students and our community at large. If I'm not, I need to be told. But I wanted to show you again that we're trying to work together, and again, preaching what both Aaron and Trevor said, I think relationships are huge, and continuing to build with this staff, this community, this school board relationships, I think is really important, and that's how we're going to move forward. Again, we might not like what each other's decisions are, but at the end of the day, we still need to live with it and move forward. And so with that, I'll finalize with this, that there were other initiatives outside of the goals. that I'd just like to comment on quick, and that's food service funding cleanup, the tree near the entrance. That was kind of Dave's push for me to get that cleaned up, so I did. The outdoor Wi-Fi and streaming services, you guys didn't have that, and it was 2021. So I talked to Jeff and he helped, and of course Dylan helped with that too. Purchasing of buses, all the committee creations, the staff vaccination management, policy review, implementation, and management committee establishment, staff and student mental health check-ins and wellness surveys, we do those. Gender neutral lavatories, that was federal law 5 years ago. We took care of that. The changes to the school board agenda, your agenda is now compliant with all standards. EA negotiation spreadsheet, for those of you on negotiations, you saw my extremely large spreadsheet. I brought that here because that's the only way I know how to read data, but you guys get it now. You can have it for free. Volunteer policies, job descriptions we talked about. Building and ground summer calendar. So again, Mr. Bly and Mr. Hungerhold has helped me with that a lot. Student activities fund, the cleanup and the creation of. That was a huge federal law that was not established here, and it should have been, so we've been cleaning that up. Tiffany does a great job of monthly sending out that information to our teachers with that. Grounds cleanup, that's constantly happening, and again, so supportive of so thankful to our custodial staff for really following my direction. I just really appreciate that. Food service cleanup, I guarantee you have not heard a single complaint from parents or students about the food, and I have to thank a really good friend of mine for helping us with that. Student parent transportation consent forms, seniority listings, that is law for teachers, which was never established, so we need to do that. The $500,000 COVID relief fund that I wrote from MDE, purchasing of the van, the capital uniform curriculum, IEA mock OSHA cycles creation, staff development initiatives, some work study stuff that Aaron and I have looked at, mainly him though. He's done so much research with that. And then, of course, the other grant writing I'm doing, such as smoothie. I'm doing that on my own time. I'm a 0.5, folks. And I just want this to be a good place. So the smoothie machine, the convection oven, the $500,000 grant, whatever it is, I hope you see that. And then finally, supporting Aaron and Trevor and the students and staff in our Leadership Academy and really creating quality leaders. Leadership is hard. Leadership is hard, and I'll be attacked, I understand that. Many of you will be. Many of you will be. And so we want to establish with the kids how to get through that, And so, and other things with the leadership, including Earth Day stuff. That'll be fun too. So with that, I'll leave it all up to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Does any, as we go through, and Jen went all of her stuff, the goal one, the strategic plan, I don't know, does anybody have any comments they want to say? I mean, I know tonight we approved it, so we're at least making a step forward. Did anybody have anything else? Okay.
I just have something to say regarding Jen. So this past year, I served as the chairman. Came onto the board at the beginning of 2021 after being off for 8 or 10 years. So I just want to say that this is maybe my 22nd or 23rd year as a school board member. And probably about half of that time, I served as chairman. And I have to say that last year was maybe the most rewarding year I have ever spent on the board. And it's because of you. I know where this school district was in terms of, as Trevor talked tonight, culture and atmosphere prior to Jen's coming here. And this past year, I saw almost 180-degree turnaround in culture and atmosphere in this place. People enjoy coming to work again. Prior to that, it was all looking over your shoulder. Everybody's in a survival mode. Maybe the most significant thing that's happened here, maybe in the last 20 years, maybe more, is they're implementing that student services team and recognizing that Trevor is the right person to put in that team, to lead that team. As a result of all that, I was here when Aaron was hired. This past year, I saw Aaron blossom as a principal. And it's because of Jen and the support that she has given him. And that you just can't put a price on that kind of stuff. You know, her work actually speaks for itself. I can't believe she's half-time in what she has accomplished here in less than 2 years. The only negative thing I would have to say about Jen is she doesn't live in this community and she's not full-time. That's the only negative thing. So as a school board member, I think it's 6 different superintendents that I've worked with in that time frame. And I have to say that she is the best one I've ever worked with. And the few we've had this past 8 or 10 years, I mean, those guys are below what I worked with before that. So, I mean, she is the best superintendent in my lifetime that's been here. And I think that this board needs to recommend that the negotiations committee start working on trying to get a contract extension for her. That's all my opinion, and that's all I have to say about that. As Forrest Gump would say.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
I have to go into, I have to add a couple of things as well. We wouldn't be where we're at without Jen. Absolutely, without a doubt in my mind. There is no other person that could tackle this. And I'm a firm believer I'm not in the realm of thinking like things happen for a reason, but 2.5 years ago, when everything went down the way it did, I think it went in a positive direction. And I think when things happened the way they did and you came into this district, we couldn't have asked for a better outcome. There's, from tackling job descriptions, there were so many things that needed to happen, and you brought them on. You didn't second guess us, you didn't give us any excuses, you said bring them on. And I'm personally surprised that everything has gone smoothly because of you. And I ditto what Dave thinks, as well as we want to have you here for a long time. So I would second that deal, to have you a contract extension negotiated.
You put a big packet together. That's
I
good.
did.
There's a lot of stuff in there that, even as board members and the board chair, we don't see. So I think this is a good thing to have. It shows, even the staff that's here tonight, there's more going on than what you guys see. There's more going on than what the parents see. There's more going on even than what the board sees. So that's where doing the evaluations is a good thing. It shows everybody where we're at. And I know the biggest thing for me that's been created is the LTFM spreadsheet. Yeah. That is huge. The building has been neglected for, I don't even know how many years. But the fact that, there's actually a plan in place now and it's getting worked towards, that's what needed to be done for a long, long time.
Everything that I wrote down, you had in this packet. Like, I really liked...
Educator.
Yeah. But I really like getting the superintendent's notes, and then it's like, under this goal, here's what we're talking about, here's why we're doing this. We get that on a very consistent basis. So I had that down here, the development of the spreadsheet, the superintendent notes, realizing that we needed student activities department and going for it, coming to us with not just like something needs to change, but here's what we can do. And it makes a big difference. So all the things that I wrote down, you had in here.
Mine was for the most part the same.
Good, thank you. Good.
Anybody else?
So for the sake of trying to get on board, I think it would be good to have a superintendent evaluation. I wouldn't say mid-term. I think we should get on point with end of year so we can set her up to succeed and what our expectations are. And I kind of like the idea of having the meeting with MSBA and Gary Lee about getting the strategic plan set up, and then we can have the meeting with her and the evaluation with her.
Correct.
Because no one's perfect. We can give her ideas where she can work on, and we can, go forward with those.
It should, and you're right,
and
both
give
of you have
her
said
and-
it, it should go hand in hand.
Correct.
Absolutely.
The strategic planning is going to have goals for the board and superintendent, and that is your evaluation then at the end.
Correct.
Every year, and they always change, of course, but Cass, you're right, they should go hand in hand. They really should.
No, one of the reasons it was recommended to do a mid-year this year is because no evaluation was done last year. So they recommended to do a mid-year this year and then get back on the roll of doing it every. But what they're doing, and I'll hit this again in my SMAC report, we're now doing evaluations for Director Armagas at SMAC. We are setting his up where he will have his goals in the fall, he will be getting a mid-year, and he will be getting an end of the year. There's no hard and fast rules. I mean, there's nothing set in stone that says you have to do at a certain time, but it is board policy that we have to give evaluations. Just like Jen has to give evaluations to Aaron, Aaron has to evaluate the teachers. It all goes together. And frankly, we should be evaluating ourselves as well. Some of us that have been on the board now, this is my 4th year. We've never even looked at ourselves either to say, where are we at? That needs to be done as well. So if no one, does anybody else have any other comments for Jen's report? Okay. The school board one, we had, goal was develop strategic plan, develop the strategic plan, which of course tonight we approved. I will get with Jen. We'll see what we need to do with Gary and kind of, can we start looking at dates, especially with summer coming up, everyone getting busy. If we kind of have something thrown out, I know everyone's not going to make every meeting. It's just, it might not work, but see where we can get that going. Our goal number 2 was to continue to work together as a school board. Did anybody have any comments going forward?
I just put down that I felt that we do feel open to discussing things, and we don't always have to agree with each other, and we're good with that. Or I feel okay with that. Like, I feel like I can say what I think, other people can say what they think, and we don't have to be in agreement, but we can respect one another. And I feel like that's been good. And then also, I feel like it's been good that when a decision is made, then whether you were for it or against it, you went forward as this is the board decision. And so much of the training, I know I'm still super new, but so much of the training was like, once a decision is made, you have to be a unified front from the board. And so I think that's something, I don't know, I feel like it's something we've worked on. That's my feeling.
One thing that's missing, I would like to see some feedback from the staff, from the non-certified staff, people that we're overseeing or whatever, what their feelings are about us and our leadership. I think that would be good.
Do you think that's something we could bring to the meet and confer?
And say, we kind of do that with meet and confer. They bring forward their concerns, issues we need to discuss, and that's kind of what meet and confer uses for.
But we could specifically have something.
We could, kind of like we do with the buildings and grounds,
Right.
with you bring your top 2.
But then that could be comprised in a part of the evaluation in the summer at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Do you feel like bringing that forth at meet and confer would be a good starting point, or What do you, what? we-
Possibly, or some sort of a survey type
Some
thing.
type,
or-
okay.
I mean, that's what we done in past years,
Okay,
which is also how the superintendent was evaluated as well.
okay.
Are you thinking just,
If you remember some of those forms at all that we did, maybe a long time ago.
Are you looking like as a board or as person to person kind of evaluation?
So what we did then was just, it didn't go out to every teacher or every non-certified person or whatever, just maybe a half a dozen or something. I don't even remember how those people were chosen. I think it was random, that they just got a survey to fill out. It's similar to the form that Jen put in for the principal, that type of a thing, where things were rated on maybe a 1 to 5 scale or something like that.
Well, if we're gonna do that, I'd like to see everybody get one.
are you talking board, soup, principal? Are you
Well, I
talking,
mean,
or
if you're
just,
gonna give them
what
to a
are we
certain
talking?
pool of staff, you might as well give them to everybody.
Oh, all staff.
Yeah. That way they're free to say what they want to say.
And it's confidential, so you don't know whose name is on
Right.
anything. That's the way we did it in the past. We don't have to do that. I'm just suggesting, I'd like to hear what other people think of us. Otherwise, it's like we're in grade school and we're grading our own paper. I mean,
guess-
it's not quite,
It's true.
you know?
My
Well,
question is why didn't we do this last year then? Why, I mean, what is it triggering that now we should do this versus,
Nothing's triggering.
And the board has that role too, but we're also put here by our public taxpayers to represent them as well. So I mean, you gotta take it all with
The public rates you based at the
Right.
at the
that's ballot.
ballot box.
Yep, yep. So you have to take it all with, I mean, you have to understand where it's all coming from.
I view it as
It
a,
doesn't have to be done. I'm just saying this is what was done in the past, and
I view it as an opportunity for growth. Like, if I can work on something, I want to know what I can work on. As everyone knows, we're not perfect. Let's work on items as a board and personally within this board to make sure that we're coping and doing things and moving in the right direction. You know, kind of backtracking what Trevor was saying in his presentation, how can we lead when we're not effective leaders? That's the way I view it.
are you thinking the surveys just for board? Or are you thinking, admin as well? Or what are you thinking?
well, right now we're just talking about the board, I guess, but, I mean, we did that with the admin in the past, but we don't have to do any of that. I'm just throwing it out on the table.
Right,
That's
and
what we've done
I
before.
think that I would love to see that be a part of our discussion when we're doing the strategic planning. That's a part of how we're going to develop as a board, and part of it, I think maybe we can pinpoint a little bit more.
This
Because
might-
I don't want to just throw out a,
Because one of the big issues,
Yeah.
I think, that we have is trust. And if people that work in this place don't trust us, we need to change some things. Are we not being truthful at this table, in the boardroom, and outside the boardroom? I mean, that all goes part of it. And
right,
and it didn't just happen this year.
right.
It's been going on. And we're just, at the end of it, it's part of changing this culture here.
Right. But you know what I'm saying is that I don't want to just, who's going to come up with the questions? Unless we have some time to talk about it and think about it. I don't want to just throw out a thing that says, how we doing? You
Right.
know?
And
Because
Gary-
then you're
Gary
going to
and
have
MSBA
55
might
different,
have some ideas.
huh?
Gary and MSBA could
Yeah.
have some ideas. So like you say, when we meet.
And then, along with having our goals and our plan as a school board, what type of evaluation do we want to be able to get? It feels like it could go together. And I don't want to just throw out
I don't know the process or how to do it, but it just seems like it
It'd be a
would
good-
be a good thing to know how the people in this building feel about what we're doing.
right. Right.
If I may, just remind you, Aaron had suggested in his presentation tonight, utilizing his site team
Right.
for something during your strategic planning. So just an option, I don't want to interrupt, but just
possibility,
a
too.
reminder.
Tell us one more time what
He
that stands
suggested
for,
that.
the site team?
Which is our leadership team, site team, just
Right.
our building site. We kind of, we represent all, I have an elementary, I have high school, I have middle school, I have a specials.
Okay.
They each kind
yeah.
of,
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to be sure. Yeah, that'd be a good resource for us. And the meet and confer is a good resource.
It doesn't have to be decided tonight, but something
Right.
for us to think about.
Did anybody else have anything to add to the board's 2 goals? Okay. If not, we will move on to committee reports. I will try to keep them as short as possible. First up, community ed. We haven't met for a while. Spring activities are going. We've got really good turnout for a lot of stuff. I think Lindsay, you might be able to let me know, swim is completely packed after,
Yeah, I think the limit was 30, but I think we're at 32.
yep. So this will be the second
That
year in a
was
row.
April, and then May, I think, is the same way.
So this will be the second year in a row we've bumped up the opening slots for kids, so the kids really seem to enjoy that. The committee will meet together soon here. We'll start looking at summer classes as well. Finance, we'll do the end of the year budget in June. I know, like I said, Jen said she's working on it now. Christy's kind of working on it. Meet and confer. We meet again April 27th at 3:15. MSBA, there wasn't a whole lot. Dave, do you have anything for the high school league?
No.
No? Scholarship committee.
We had our pancake breakfast, and I think we raised a little bit short of $1,000 at that. And we will be deciding on who gets which scholarships in May, towards the end of May. And all of the seniors should be sure to apply, because I believe that we always give a scholarship if somebody applies. So we need to encourage the seniors to do that.
I'll give you the specifics if you want, Kat.
Go ahead, Angie.
Go ahead,
So
Angie.
I already spoke with the seniors a week ago, and I think everybody took an application. There were about 10 that sounded pretty interested. He's correct in that everybody that applies will get part of that Chesborough Hank scholarship. And scholarships are due tomorrow. The applications are due tomorrow. And selection is the 27th.
Perfect. Thank you. Certified negotiators have not met. I'll go through SMAC real quick. I'll keep it kind of short.
Non-certified.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Non-certified. Sorry, Deb.
So we've had our initial meeting, and we are working on a second meeting in the first part of June.
Okay.
That's all.
All right, sorry I skipped you.
That's okay.
SMAC, Jen and I are on the policy committee. We've kind of got a game plan now to start getting SMACs up to date and ready to go for the school year. I mentioned that, yep, we have an evaluation process now ready to go for Dan.
And I lead that, by the way.
Yes, Jen and Michelle Nelson from Southland, they're on the evaluation committee that works with Dan in getting his goals. One thing we have done is we have established the bond payment committed fund. All right, so you might have to help me explain this here a little bit. I'm going to try to do the best I can to make it so everybody understands. We charge access fees to other schools to come in and access SMAC. So what happens is when there's left, say there's money over that we've raised more than what the assigned balance is, or the assigned fund balance is, that money will now go into what we call the bond committed fund. So in 2026, when we're finally able to make a principal payment on that bond, we will be able to really pay down that principal. So instead of giving the money back to the districts and having to refigure all of the finances, the excess will just carry over to 26. In the meantime, it'll sit there, it won't get used for anything else, and we can help pay down that bond payment when it comes in 26. Are there any questions?
Yeah, that makes good sense.
Okay.
I need to say this though too, SMEC is part of our district. There are naysayers out there that think, oh my gosh, we're giving our money over there. No, we have students that actually attend programs there. We have staff members that have come from SMEC and come here to serve our children. Our kids are our kids, period. Our money needs to go to them equally as well.
Correct.
So
And
I just went to work.
I know there are some, you're paying a lot of money going out. Well, if we have we have a place now we can send, say we have a student that's a level 4. We have a place to send them. Before, wherever they were going, it was $80,000 a kid to send them out, and that was one student. If you've got 2, at a certain point, you're just not going to make it on your own. So SMAC has actually been a godsend to all the 7 districts. What else did I have? Yep, we're working on the strategic plan over there. We're actually going to start, I sent you guys all an email about the LO Forever donation. Yeah, years past, it's been $20, $25. Is everyone good with that? For the most part. Does anybody have any ideas offhand? We have a little time. But if there's something that you can think of, shoot me an email, give me a call, and say if you guys are okay with it, I'll kind of figure, help me out here, whatever, I'll spearhead it if I need to, but otherwise, if you guys have ideas, let me know. So we need to have the items in by May 13th, so we've got some time to work on it.
I was just trying to think if there was something related to the school itself that we could do, and my mind just went to like a pool
Pool pass.
membership or something.
Yep. Lindsay's done those, the pool's done those in the past, right? The pool membership donation to LO Forever?
Yes.
Yep.
The pool,
We do whenever there's LO Forever, I think we just.
Yep.
okay.
I thought about too, maybe like an athletic family pass or like a student pass.
Yeah.
Kind of something kind of thrown in more for kind of the kids. I'll put Jen thinking a little bit on that too.
What is it, a family pass right now is
So one
120?
For what?
family pass for athletics.
You know, a family pass to go to the events.
I think it might be 120 because.
I was thinking-
Is it-
135, is it 135? I think it's 135, maybe.
Yeah,
Is it
we're
30
that's
for
on the
student,
topic of this,
60
what
for
we're
an
discussing
adult,
before
I
you.
think.
So.
For
I think
single,
they
I
upped it
think?
this year, though, I think we're doing up to like 40 and 70 and.
Well, they need to talk, there's a lot of things that I've talked to Jen about too, of like, folks like Lanesville doesn't charge their kids, and if you play fall sports, then the boys don't have to pay to get in volleyball they get paid. You know what I mean, like to promote more.
Oh.
So that stuff's on the rocks the way it is right now, so.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah, Grand Meadow does that. Their students don't pay to get into
Yeah.
events.
Our Three Rivers Conference, we're kind of looking into this here, we want to talk about. But our Three Rivers Conference, they give kids who make the A honor roll these gold cards. So each kid carries this gold card around who got on the A honor roll. So for example, a Chatfield kid can get into a Plainview event for free if they have this gold card.
Oh.
So we're kind of trying
There'd be a
to
conference there.
strategically play with the conference that way too, because we think we have more A students than anybody. No competition.
So,
Okay.
no, if everyone's good with pitching in, like I said, if you think of something, let me know. We have a little bit of time that we can get something kind of figured out. So.
That's good.
On to next is the district calendar update. May 17th is the School Board and Administration and Groundskeeping Team Building Day. Jen?
All right. Speaking of strategic planning and trust building and team building and all of that, I think it was a Saturday night. Obviously, Teresa and Aaron and I were pretty bored, but because they responded to my email. But it was a Saturday night. I'm thinking, why don't we do something like this, literally to build our team and continue to, as Trevor, Aaron, and I talked about tonight, build relationships with each other. So I have support of at least these two right now. Well, yes, publicly he is supporting.
Well, I don't know. Aaron and I toured the area.
Oh, I know.
I don't know if
I
that's
know.
going to go over so much anymore.
So, again, this is just a draft, but an idea. We'd like to come forward to all of you that at 3 o'clock, the day of the May school board meeting, we would like us all to join together and outside in the staff parking lot, do actually some team building efforts. Talk about non-school stuff. Talk to each other about who we are as people and our kids and life and whatever's going on. But we grill, have some food, but then do some actually labor. We would help our building and grounds department, who's doing a great job and has had a lot of pressure on them. But we would get dirty. We would work on the retaining wall and really just clean that out. Clean it out. That's really our first goal, is to clean that out. And that can be kind of ours. So then it's ready for graduation, because again, we know our teachers and our custodial staff have enough to do for graduation. So we thought, hey, why can't we contribute too as a board and an administrative team? And again, but the biggest reason is to get together and work together. Have some fun, laugh a lot, pick on each other, talk about our kids, whatever you want to do. But that's what it is. And so we have some needs, though. Equipment, gloves, things like that, pruning shears, whatever it may be. We do need food. Food is always good. It breaks the ice, and you can always have fun with food. And then, of course, we kind of write down what everybody would be willing to contribute. So if you want to email Teresa, Aaron, and I your thoughts on this, and if you can make it one, if you have a better idea, that's great too. But also if there's something you can contribute, that would be fantastic. We'd appreciate it. Then I do probably a write-up with Axel, take some pictures and do some, again, promotion of the district that we're moving along.
I have one question. Have you talked to Tiffany?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so she's okay with that?
Yep.
She's more than happy, huh?
Yeah. Don't go look at the,
Yes.
just show
It
up that
was-
day. Well,
Yeah, don't let anybody go look right
you
now.
might need to bring
No,
some
but I
get a
mean,
bad
she's
flavor
okay-
in your mouth.
Yes, she's okay, because sometimes her
Yeah.
classes went out, or I just
Yeah.
don't want to,
Yeah. Nope, she's
Offend.
totally fine.
Yeah,
she's
'cause
totally fine with
We're gonna do
that.
some prep work
And
before
Tim has
that
been
day.
great too. He's like, yeah, right. Well, it's May. It's hard on him. You know,
Yeah.
he's preparing
Yeah,
for
got
summer
lawns
stuff.
and, yeah.
It's not good timing for him.
Yep, and the student leadership kids, they're gonna come, is it next Friday? Is there?
This Friday.
Okay, this Friday. Aaron and I went and toured it here about a week and a half ago, and it's in need of much love. So you gotta quit laughing. I'm gonna
I
make you be able to
can't.
quit. So
gonna be more
the
than 3 hours.
student leadership, what'd you
It's gonna
say?
be way more than 3 hours.
Yeah, so the student leadership kids, they're gonna kind of help with like cleaning up the leaves. We have a lot of area where the black paper's kind of coming through. So the kids are gonna kind of do a lot of the facelift stuff. But we do have a lot of area where the retaining wall blocks need a little bit of help. And I'm not talking that we have to tear down the whole wall and rebuild it. We've got a few pieces that are missing here. Some need to be fixed. But it's a lot bigger project than I think the three of us thought it was when the idea came to fruition. So,
And who is going to be in charge of getting plants, or aren't we planting? Are we just cleaning and
I
fixing?
think what
think-
we're going to do initially is do pots, and then we'll come up with a plan for landscaping. The biggest thing for me is I don't want to put landscaping out there and then walk away. Then you guys are done with it, and you'll never weed, you'll never do anything, and we put it back on the custodians. I will
Right.
not have that anymore in this district, including with senior projects. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more just really slow, strategic. That's our
Yeah.
word of the night. But probably buy some pots and do annuals every year for a while.
Okay.
Until we figure something out
Okay.
better
Have
and
we-
easier.
Have we talked to the garden club at all? Because I think they do the,
they do the hanging baskets that hang.
yeah, plus they do the signs outside of west of town, east of town. They do the
They
library.
could.
If we contacted them, who knows if they would want to do some of that stuff around the school too.
Help us.
They might. Yeah. No, we had the idea of, especially like the pot stuff, or, say you are going to plant a plant, something like a hosta. It's easy. You come in, you cut it off, it's done. Nothing that's going to take, hours and hours of landscaping work. Just something that makes it look good, but it's not going to be, so labor intensive.
But I think they come in and they water the plants too, so that could be
Oh.
on their,
Yeah, we could start and
Yeah.
get them to come in and.
yeah.
They
Sounds
don't
like they're
water the
experts.
Main Street plants, though. The city does that.
Oh, yeah.
The hanging baskets?
But they still water out by the signs.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying the baskets. I don't,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the city does that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too.
So we'll make note for the garden club. But yeah, like Jen said, if there's, stuff you guys want to volunteer for, let us know. And we'll kind of get everything organized closer to the May meeting. So also May 17th is the school board meeting at 6 o'clock. May 27th is the class of 2022 graduation, and that, weather pending, we will be outside on the football field.
Yep.
May 30th, we,
I think it is every other day.
May 30th is no school for Memorial Day. June 3rd and 6th, there is no school for staff development. And June 21st is the school board meeting at 6 o'clock. So if nobody has anything else, we will look for a motion and a second to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Deb,
I'll second.
second by Cassidy. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion adjourned at 8:51 PM.